he would park illegally in this little lot across from the dormitory. And if a group of us happened to be walking by at the same time, we would
Pick it up, yeah.
and move it.
I've had that happen.
And make them think it was being towed.
I've had that happen where people had to pick my car up and move the car because I was lost in.
No, the mics aren't green.
Well, the mics are on this.
Right now. I'm gonna yell at him again tonight.
Hello?
The guy at the dump got their transfer. By the other day, that's the one inspected.
Well, the sun's outside.
What am I doing?
Susan, can you hear us?
Okay.
Susan, can
Very, very faintly.
very faintly. Can you turn, Paul, can you turn the speaker system up?
Mr. Did you find it?
Is this any better?
No,
Hello?
Not better?
I don't think.
No, that's one, oh.
I can hear Tim pretty well.
That's Tim's closer to the mic.
Susan, can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Pam.
Check.
I know that sounds like a lie, but I can't really hear that.
Okay, I sound like a lion?
Now okay.
Can you
I
hear
think-
me?
Yeah, you're perfectly.
I'm perfect, he said.
Am I too
Yeah,
close?
right there, you're picking up on that one.
Something's not.
Pam, is your light on?
I can't do the glasses and the mask thing either. I can't see.
I
I
gotta
can't think
fake
it's
my
foggy
nose,
or
I can't.
Really, honestly, I can hear Beth and Tim the best. So
Yeah, that's.
I guess-
Well,
You
Pam
say-
knows me than that. There you go, Matt.
I did it!
No, that's one.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Mine's doing nothing.
Thank you.
Mine's very, very low.
Hello, Captain, can you hear John? This is John, can you hear me, Susan?
I can hear John.
did you guys put the new batteries in? Oh, so Paul needs to turn on the mics on the main thing.
Mine is very, very quiet.
Mine's green though.
That's
Yours green? It says push. Does that work?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear Hal singing?
Hey, what did you do?
Okay, let's do a test on each one. Pam, you want to count to 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, wait a second.
Susan, can you hear that?
Yeah,
Okay, Beth.
Hi, Susan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
okay.
Tim?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
I slide right here, home.
Okay.
So, and I think the key is we have to speak to the mics very carefully. Paul, can you do the one that Chris is going to be at for the budget presentation? Yeah, but pull it right over so it's ready to do it.
Yeah, last time it was.
If we were at home, the dish was in the air, so we can't hear it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Well, give me. You can't throw anything out of that.
Oh, it's more scenic this way because the tomato can splat all over the place.
Yes. That's what reminds you of it. Have you tested the visitors microphone to see if the batteries were on? Not to be. Okay,
Replace the battery. I don't know how
faculty
it
and
lasts.
staff members know to check your technology before class begins. is not on. Stop.
Oh, wait, you know what, the two smaller rectangles, I think those are off.
Oh, yep.
Did you get a chance? Got the five, go for it.
Come on, say first.
That was just gonna be smart. All right, this works, right?
Yeah, what's good? I thought you were gonna do it again in the meeting. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Was that okay? Let me go count again.
We have a meeting tonight.
The temperature thing is in the office, we just filled out the paper.
No, I'm gonna stick our dick for it.
Testing, I don't think this is.
I don't hear you.
Testing.
Look, that turned back off.
Battery getting in?
You were coming through.
Yeah.
I do.
Citizen forum thing tonight.
Just the library one.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Before I change the battery. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Betsy said that camera should be turned down and to the right a little bit. It's up to you guys to determine that. Couldn't see everybody last time, but. Well, we've got, Matt, we've got Chris, Paul, all the way over, we've got everybody.
I'm waiting for you to shower me as well.
Your mic
Oh
on?
my God, that big,
The thing is,
that's so cool.
Isn't it?
Susan, so I think we're gonna be okay on the mic. If you start having trouble and you need me to speak up, let me know.
Okay.
I can't wait till like, those holidays come out. I don't know how we need to.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you so
So they
much.
have to learn how.
Yes, definitely.
Can you give me 30 seconds at some point tonight just to do a public thank you to the crew that saved my house from burning down?
You can try. I think this is such a blessing, and I'm glad that they used the thermal imager.
Yeah.
You guys figure out where the fire was? Did you figure out where the heat source was coming from?
Also, bro, he was in the wall, right? So very easy.
If your house on board frame, your house.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, oh, yes. You need to totally, and then you're safe in a house.
But how bad was it? I smoked the energy program.
So it's smoky.
So the power stove gets up, it's not, or was it the stove?
It was the best. Yeah, the pipe was, so on the part that goes to the wall, Chris came, so it's supposed to, be pipe.
Yeah.
This one was just pipe. So after however many years, it was there when we bought it. I never even thought that, pull it apart.
Right.
So, yeah, it's,
It's finished.
years of heating and cooling, the moment it's supposed to catch on fire. Thank God, Robert, baby. No, you better.
Well, we are thankful. Very, very thankful.
I am too.
You know, that was not legal?
Yep. Yeah, we got the living room sealed up.
Yeah.
It's awful there. The rest of us, we have another cleaning crew came in. I'll take something over. They just go up today, they'll do that tomorrow. Cleaner than it's been.
So the equipment is just a tremendous investment. Great thing.
So far,
Great thing. Good.
as far as I'm concerned, it was good.
Good.
Good so far.
I'm never gonna advocate for that.
John, are you gonna read that, library email, or do you want one of us to?
You mean the press release?
The press release, and
It doesn't matter to me, I can read it, or,
We have it, don't we? Press release.
That's not your heat source, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Actually, if you have it, Mark, why don't you read it? Sure. That maintains consistency.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a big deal. Yeah, there's some names I can't.
Yeah, do we get like Rana?
Rana. Campobasso.
Yeah, Mombasa, Belize region.
Well, Rhino Bond, they took down at that intersection a long time ago, they put up the system one time up in the mountains, and rebuilt it.
Hey, Paul?
Yeah.
Do you find, I think I'm number 10, and when I talk, it's like, bring the possible feedback. And I don't want to be responsible for that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it.
So maybe the first one on the second box only goes up to 9. Yeah. Any better? Hello, hello, hello. Doesn't seem to be changing.
Yeah, I still hear a little bit. Hear a little bit.
I think I'm number 10. It's hard to take that. Yeah.
I'm trying to hear.
It's either 10 or 12.
10 or 12?
All right, number 12. Number 12.
Oh.
Number 9.
That far is slow.
B12. Pick up.
Hello? Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
let's are we ready?
that's how it's yeah, we'll do it after that.
Okay, so we're live. We're set, Paul. Okay, as chairman of the Select Board of Northwood, I'm calling the meeting tonight to order. Since we are working together here as a select board, but we are doing also components of this via live stream and YouTube. I'll continue the practice of doing roll call votes so that people that are listening that might not have the video can hear who's saying what, or at least hear things that I was projecting, but I didn't think I was projecting that much. Sorry. It's me. Yeah. Now I need to have it. So
Every dog in 3 miles, I'm sitting outside the town hall.
Okay, so we'll try again. So because we're doing it on YouTube and live stream, and people might not be able to see the video, I'm still going to ask for roll call votes. So to start, I'd like to do a roll call for attendance. Matt.
Present.
Tim.
Here.
Beth.
Here.
Pam. Present. And Hal Crowder is present also. I'd like to now pledge the flag. Everybody please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So tonight we're going to have citizens forum, and then just so folks know, we're going to go right into the budget, so that folks that are watching, because of the budget process that we're going through, we'll get through that first. So for citizens forum, we have at least one press release to read, and then I ask Matt to do that.
Certainly. The Chesterton Memorial Library of Northwood, New Hampshire is pleased to announce that they will receive a recurring grant from the Robert C. Grano Charitable Fund, Gulf County, Florida, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his father's immigration to the United States on October 28, 1920. The grant will be used to establish the Joseph Grano Children's Initiative to promote exploration of the natural world, music, art, diverse cultures, adventure travel, and craftsmanship. Joseph Grano emigrated from Campobasso in the Belize region of Italy with his mother and brothers to join their extended family in Boston, Massachusetts, and Waterbury, Connecticut, who had lived in the United States since 1887. In 1991, Joseph Grano donated the 2-story wing of the Chesterton Memorial Library in memory of his wife, Theodora Kaylin Grano. Joseph Grano renovation contractor from Arlington, Massachusetts, who restored and lived in the 1778 Chancellor House in Northwood, originally built on King's Grant land. Through the widening of Route 4, the 1778 house was moved to Grafton, Vermont, and the 1806 barn was moved to the Sanborn Mill Farm in Loudon, New Hampshire. The Chesley Memorial Library Director, staff, friends of the Northwood Library, and its trustees, along with the town of Northwood, are grateful to Robert Browning for continuing his father's legacy of nourishing children's curiosity with experiential education.
Thank you, Matt, and also thank you, Mr. Verano. It's a real privilege. I happened to have a chance to speak with Mr. Verano as part of this process, and I got to tell you, he's a very interesting person and extremely sharp guy, so we're lucky to have his support, and it's very much appreciated. Matt, I believe you have another item that you'd like to
I do, so I'd actually like to speak as a citizen briefly, if I could, and I just wanted to say publicly how grateful my family and I are for the quick response of the fire rescue. Last week, we had a house fire in our home, and like we were just talking about, it's an older home, 1865, and I shudder to think about how dry that wood is in there. It was the quick response and the quick actions of especially our fire department, as well as the police who were the first on scene, that saved a lot of damage and potentially worse. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It was neat seeing all those folks turn out, using the equipment that they explained why they need it, and we were very lucky. So thank you to everybody. And thank you to the entire community who offered a place to stay, a meal to eat, whatever. It was a really wonderful experience, apart from the part where my house almost burned down.
Understandable. So we did not receive any more written citizen form.
Mr. Chairman, did you, you have a live person, I didn't have
We have a live one.
We have anybody from the public that's here tonight would like to speak to citizen forum. You can say, we'll be found you have to hold it pretty close to your mouth.
I just wanted to mention that in looking over the proposed budgets from different departments, that it appears that again.
I can't hear anything.
Increased request.
You're not coming,
You have to put the mic almost up against your mask. Pull it out so it's easier for you, please.
and make sure it's still on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay,
Did you replace the battery?
I just replaced the battery.
There you go. Right up against your mask.
So in looking at the proposed budgets, this year, it seems that it'll be the same as in past years. Where departments are looking to get additional equipment or increased lines, that kind of thing. I would really urge the selectmen, when you're going through your final budget, to please keep in mind that this year in particular, we are not going to get the revenues from the state and the feds that we typically get. As Jim Hadley used to so eloquently put it, this is a year of needs, not wants. Anything that can be put off until next year, and that includes roads, that can be put off until next year to keep these budgets down, is going to be greatly appreciated by the residents and taxpayers of this town. So I would urge you to keep that in the back of your mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. I guess nobody else. Okay. Well, with that in mind, I guess we're going to move right into the budgeting process. So tonight we have a long tally of relatively small items, except for a few related to Chris's area, which are the biggest ticket items. So I guess, John, do you want me to turn it over to you for the first series of items?
Well, I would suggest we go right to the highway items so that Chris can be, make his presentation, and then we move on to all, and then we start back at the beginning. Highway appears, if you're in the packet, electronically, it's on page 20.
Okay, so Chris, we'll start with you, buddy.
So thanks for the effort to review it.
John, going through everything. There was a lot of land that we were able to cut, a lot of items that I actually increased on. So myself as the full-time public works foreman, it's easier for me to take our equipment that we have on present to actually go do jobs rather than contracting out for services and things like that and saving taxpayers money. So basically, you'll see a few of my lines that have increased. Some of them, for instance, culverts, things like that, have increased significantly, like $3,000 or $4,000, just because I want to basically keep everything in-house and not have to expend. So that's just about it.
I think we should go down each one of them in a little bit more detail, given that we have some of this in front of us. But let me just sort of guide you along, just so we can have some discussion on this. So, for example, on highway administration, the request is for 200, basically, in round numbers, $213,000. In 2019, we adopted 228,000. You actually brought that in. It came in 2019 at 186,000. You adopted 2020 with 189,000. So just going through, the key changes are obviously, in this case, your salary is now in there, which wasn't in there before. And that looks to me to be the largest change.
Yeah.
All the other ones are relatively minor. Is that a correct assessment of that?
That is correct. Obviously, being a new public works foreman, that line item was never even there in the first place. So, I mean, my salary is something.
So,
Well, there was there. You
It
have,
was under the labor of one.
right, you never won labor too, so it was there, and that was up to it.
right, yeah, so,
It was there.
yeah, I think that's a good point, Beth. Yeah, so we have the general labor, and that is unfilled, and that was 40, I'm gonna talk about numbers, like 42,000. So,
Maybe 20,000 up there.
yeah, 20,000 up on that. And I apologize for not recognizing others first, but I just want to start the ball rolling. So just please either signal or speak up. This is a definite thing. So let's work our way down through, Chris. What other items are here that might be significant changes? I see one that's a negative 7,000 for the OT. That's based on you getting somebody new in now to help you, but you think you're gonna have less OT?
If I may make a comment, Chris, you need the mic closer and speak up. Susan's saying it's hard to hear you.
Okay.
Speak louder.
Can they hear me now?
Yeah, right, yeah, bring the mic up like real close. So, yeah, so like I'm wondering about the OT, are we gonna be able to cover everything that we need to?
As far as the OT goes, obviously, with Pete's position prior, he accrued a lot of overtime, being like an hourly employee, time salary. So, I mean, there's a significant cut in overtime right there. So,
So really, that 7,000 overtime would be rolled, that's his part of his pay, so.
Okay, in fact, we've been through this and seen the change, but just, yeah, please continue to speak up. I'm just looking down through.
I see the tree work up 11,000.
Where's that one, please?
Top of the next page.
Oh, let's finish the highway admin first.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, what, am I doing this?
William.
Maybe I think you're touching the number plans.
Yeah, you keep touching it. We'll touch it.
Okay, I'll try not to, unless I have an electronic personality. Not electric, electronic. Okay,
You're electrifying.
yeah, right. So, does anybody else have any other questions on any of the deltas? That's primarily what I look at.
So we have a little bit of increase there, 10, 22, 23,000 over what was adopted for 2020. So 23,000.
20 of it was salary, so, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna try and keep overall budget, maybe we're gonna have to look for some other areas to tweak.
If you go to the final end of my budget, you'll see it.
Okay.
I don't know,
Okay, so we go ahead, John?
Paul, on the spreadsheet, the 2020 adopted has 41,000 for the general road laborer salary, which is zero in the 2021. So how come there isn't a savings of 41,000 in the last column?
Well, I thought he answered that by saying that his salary of 63 is new, and that's in there.
Right, but it should then have minus 41,000 in the next line, I believe.
under the 2020 expenditure.
I'm not completely missing it.
Oh, I wasn't looking at those other two columns, that might just be a calculational error, I was just looking,
Right, in other words, I'm thinking, when you look at how much savings are, I think instead of 64, I think it's 23.
Right.
yeah, something didn't carry over there, is really what happened there.
So, Paul, do you want to just make a note, check that on the spreadsheet?
You know where we're at? Yeah, yeah, because as Tim said, if you look at the delta, 2020 adopted versus 2021, there's a difference of about 21,000, but it's almost all explained by the difference in public works foreman salary and road labor salary. I mean, there are other deltas, plus 1,000, minus 1,000, plus 7,000, minus 7,000, so all of those sort of wash out, and I think, Tim, you're right. I think that basically the difference in the two salaries. So yeah, something's the matter with that column, so yeah, if you would just please check that. Any other questions on this component? If not, we'll move on to paving and reconstruction.
So obviously on this one, you'll see a significant decrease. Because it was in the 2018 budget that was adopted and it was voted on by the actual budget for the paving and reconstruction. So you can see there's a significant decrease. And so basically, if my warrant article would fail, there'll be a little bit of money there that I can actually be able to do one road versus all three roads independent.
Okay, so questions on this?
So, reconstruction, so you're saying 80,000 requests, and you have a warrant article?
I'll have warrant article, yes.
Okay. And if the warrant article doesn't pass, 80,000 plus, what would you be using with the 80?
That's basically the highway block grant as well, which is
that?
I have a question, so yeah. But let's go first.
So you have, I don't know if you had roads like earmarked to be paved, but the committee actually is meeting the 28th.
yeah, those are just projected roads. So I'll sit on one part of the committee and discuss it with the committee before I make a decision on what road that's being done.
And then if you could get whatever road you decide on, you can get an estimate so we actually have a number to put into the warrant. And please that include the tree removal and any other, so not just the pavement, but everything, the culverts, the ditching, everything.
Yeah.
So the line item that, excuse me, not the line item, but the actual budget for the road is actually set. And I have a figure from. So. We'll discuss that meeting.
How confident are we in the projected block grant numbers?
I talked to the head of the block grant program up at the state, and they don't project into the future year, but he did say that revenues were running only 5 to 8% behind expectations. A lot of people driving, so that the road toll, which is technically where we get our grant from, it's a formulaic, we get so much percentage. That road toll shouldn't be off that much. I do think Ginger is right. The bigger risk is the bigger number, which is the Room and Meals block grant money. But this one here, The
Well, that's pretty
revenue,
conservative. This is fairly conservative in terms of,
oh, this is very conservative.
Anybody else before I speak? So, I guess I got a related question, and Chris, I appreciate you trying to drop the numbers down. But I'm gonna ask very specifically, if we don't have enough money in our budget to cover what we do get from the block grant, do we still get, and are we able to still expend all of the block grant?
Can I answer that one?
Yes.
Yeah, block grant only has to go towards highway, so your budget for highway administration alone more than covers what your block grant is.
Okay, so we're not gonna lose the opportunity to use that money just because we don't have enough in that particular law.
Correct.
So it's specified as that, I want to be real clear. It's specified there, block grant projects.
Right, but the block grant money needs to be used for municipal highway purposes, and
Okay.
you've got several $100,000 here, and you're probably, gonna be well below, you will be well below that in terms of the amount of revenue you get from block grant.
I just want to make sure we don't lose the opportunity. Does everybody understand what I'm asking? Okay. Other questions on the paving and reconstruction? Okay, so Chris, this then really means to me that you're gonna have enough money to do some basic miscellaneous repairs, but you're putting all your eggs in the one basket for the road paving.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going for a warrant article,
Okay. Okay, I mean, we played it that way last year, and, I think we just have to make sure we explain it to folks and make sure we understand what's going on. Okay, any other questions on paving and reconstruction? Hearing none, I'm gonna move on to highway cleaning and maintenance. So in this case, Chris, it's going up slightly, about $6,000 to $7,000. Can you just give us an overview as to why?
Yeah, so basically under the highway cleaning maintenance, you'll see the contracted services went down. Obviously, I'm gonna keep that in-house, but in order to keep it in-house, some of my projects, some of my lines have to go up. For instance, culverts, that went up an additional 4,000. Because there's no reason for me to be contracting out services when I can do it myself. Some areas unfortunately have to go up, because I can pay for the material that I need.
Okay, so the biggest up I see is the tree work / tree work roads rebuilding. Now, that's included or separate from the highway paving projects that we're doing?
That's separate.
So this is other places where we have to keep the trees back, clean up. Okay.
And unfortunately, in the sign, everybody knowing that the emerald ash borer and stuff, and the complete disrepair of a lot of the ash trees, unfortunately, it's gonna fall on the town's hands, because a lot of our roads are covered in ash trees, so.
Okay, and that's in response to that $11,000 increase in response to that. Yeah, I guess I've noticed that along the roads quite a bit.
Unfortunately,
Hal,
Yes,
I realize it will be later in the meeting, I'm going to bring up that as we look at the budget, I think it's all right to proceed with your tree cutting along the road that was paved this year. My understanding is your latest quote was under 25,000, right?
it was, $2,000 to $3,000, I know what you guys did.
So I just wanted to mention that while we were on trees.
okay, so do we need a vote to let him move forward on that?
Yes, but I was gonna wait until we got later in the meeting.
Okay, so, Beth, go ahead.
I have two things. You have a list of the roads for trees, and then we talked about the road behind the country market, or not market.
Yeah.
But there was several there. So I think that was like several $1,000s, wasn't it? $6,000, $7,000?
For,
Yeah, but
no, it would go like 3,500 or 4,000. So there's only 2 trees on that one, basically, that have to come down.
But we also talked about how if we're thinking about doing, I'll just say, town farm, okay? To pay that in 2 years. We should take the trees next year that will need to be done, so we can be a year ahead for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you think of that, when you have that number of, what was it? How much was trees?
20.
20,000.
So we can do the 20,000, make sure we're planning for the trees ahead. And then the culverts, I have a question about the culverts. The $6,000, do you have like certain culverts you're going to, you think that we're gonna need 6,000, or will that be enough? Then we get some.
That will leave me some cushion, so in particular, I have about 12 culverts that we need work, especially on the roads, if my warrant article does pass, for instance, Harmony Hill, there's 5 culverts on there that are going to be replaced. So,
Now, I'm gonna let you go, and then I have a question related to your.
So, mine's more in relation to the tree cutting as well. So I imagine that we will probably have a warrant article to fund the terrestrial invasive species fund. So we could offset some of the ash removal and mitigation through that if it gets funded.
Matt, help me out on that. Was that only for education, or was that also for?
Well, it was prevention and mitigation, if I remember.
What, prevention and mitigation?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a good point. That may give us a little bit of safety valve. And
No, we created the fund last year, funded it with $1. I'm
Right.
assuming we'll put some money into it this year.
all right, thank you. Yeah, if you look on the warrant articles from last year, it established the fund, but we didn't fund it. We wanted to see if there was general support for it. Gotcha. Yeah. So I'd like to pull the board a little bit, because I at least would like us to consider what Beth talked about in terms of trees and culverts and stuff in anticipation of roads that we intend to work on. And I guess I'm just wondering whether it's better for us to stick to, for example, saying, yeah, we know we got different culverts here and there we need to replace that are coming up someplace, sometime, or maybe there's some that are collapsing and we just need to do them right away. But I'm wondering if there's any merit in grouping all the things associated with doing a road in the warrant to do that road. So in other words, we ran into a problem this last time when we said, well, we're going to do the paving. Oh, but we didn't have enough money in the warrant to do the associated trees.
But we did do the culverts the year prior, so we
Yeah,
did the plan, and unfortunately the trees, that wasn't part, it didn't fall through.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and this is what I'm getting at, and I think you asked the right question. If we can get on the right schedule, then we know, but if we don't have that schedule, then we could run into the same problem again year after year.
if the highway commission, they're starting to meet again, so
Yeah.
people have a plan.
Okay, so that's the approach we want to take, then, is we'll fund the upcoming and preemptive work through the stuff in the budget, so that when we come to the paving warrant article, we're already prepared for that upcoming year. Okay, so then the need to pre-plan and look ahead is critical for that approach. So we're just gonna have to make that happen. Okay. Is everybody comfortable otherwise with what numbers we have in here, or do they want more explanation?
No.
So, let's see.
It's a little cold.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on the highway cleaning and maintenance? I'm not hearing any, so then we'll move on. Snow and ice control, always a popular subject. Okay, Chris, explain what's going on here.
so obviously, on the contract service line, you see increase of 5,000, sand up 2,000, and about that, the other one's in total up, so. Yeah, they stay the same, but, so contracted services, as far as that, I obviously have a couple more contractors coming on this year, so in order to fund that position, I need to, increase my line on that. And then, as far as sand goes, obviously, you never know how much sand, salt we're gonna have to need for the year, so it's kind of a projected estimate. You know, we plan for the worst and hope for the best.
So, questions on this? Set a line up. Matt, go ahead.
So what would have constituted in the past other plowing?
That one, I have no clue.
Then,
That's your only hope, 2019.
You know, other laws.
That doesn't cover like.
Or for like a substitute bar, maybe like those someone using a person, people so did it.
That was a hard time line though.
What about,
I don't know.
what about other areas like,
Well, I know last year they plowed Co Brown. We were supposed to do contracting through my boss company, but they came in and salted it before the voting, I think,
Oh, for town meeting.
town meeting or something was up there, so something like that. I mean, I don't, that's the only thing I can think of, but we don't plow anything else that we know of.
or there's nothing spent
Oh,
on that line.
You know what,
this year.
it was like the election when we had to, from the church. The election, we had like 2 years now.
We plowed the church 1 year.
yeah, but there's nothing 2000, there's nothing in
There's nothing spent on it this
2019,
year.
and there's nothing in 2020 today.
Maybe something that was always in the budget, we just carried on.
Seems like a good one, take away, Chris. That was good job on that.
Okay, shut it down. So, no projections in the, oh yeah, you didn't increase the salt, no.
The same.
We locked in at Fillmore, you all set with that?
Yeah,
That'd
that'll
be a problem now.
And, same with, Granite State Minerals. I actually got contracts back on both Morton and, Granite State.
They were saying a ton.
They were within $2 a ton, so it was, 40. It was like 70 something bucks a ton, $74 a ton, whatever.
For municipality?
Yeah. I can't remember honestly.
It's gotta be cheaper than that, 'cause I can buy it at 78, you know, from our
Might have been 47, I can't remember.
Yeah, I know it's like probably 20, 30 bucks cheaper than what general person can buy it for.
The difference between the two was only $2 or $3 a ton.
Okay, if you got a little bit more in there, I understand fracking sand is now in excess, so maybe we can get some of that, get that a little cheaper, but. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have diverted the attention. Okay. I'm skipping street lighting, and now we're on to sanitation administration. I guess what I'm looking at here is something that's pretty level. So, are you planning on making any changes, Scott? I mean,
Sure, it's level, we have, we just get like the rate, like the next step up.
What's that?
But those, all the raises were put in personnel administration except by the police commission and library trustees.
okay, that's important to know. So that's because we're going to be looking at some of this stuff.
We're not putting raises in the operating budgets that we're presenting.
That makes it easy for us to segregate it out, for the committee to review it. At least that's the general philosophy. Thank you for bringing that up. Good point. Okay, I'm not seeing much difference here. Does anybody have any questions as to what we're looking at here?
Well, you got electricity down
Is that
like
because
1,300, so.
is that because of the new, plan for the new one?
No.
Right?
Electricity.
I can say no to some of it. John, we didn't budget anything relative to that yet, did we?
No, I don't, expended.
But you're right,
I
yeah.
think it was based off the expenditure year to date is only 2,187, which would project for the year at a lower number, which is why I think Chris put 5,000 in there. But if you look at prior years, it's been running higher.
One of the biggest reasons is, it was actually running outside like last night, except for during winter time. So that was one of the biggest savings on electricity itself.
Say that again, because I couldn't understand you.
The outside lighting,
Oh,
rather than use lighting, it was basically on almost every night.
oh.
So in order for it not to, it's easier to cut them off during, unless it's winter time and we're in there, snow plowing and things like that, so. When the facility is closed, nobody should really be in there, it shouldn't really have to be lighted that much.
And
You think we're running there quarter?
What's that?
That's almost a quarter of the.
Mhm.
okay, well, those lights.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get 3,000 on Lagoon. Was that?
If I can comment on that one?
Sure.
It's 6,000 a year to have it inspected, and it needs to have a specialist come in twice a year to inspect it.
Oh,
But the town is actually going to have a balance at the end of the year with the inspector, so next year we only owe 3,000.
They overpaid David Lane, right?
Yes, that's exactly right, Ken.
I've heard that too.
Speaking of Lagoon, you were told at the beginning of the year that we had to do work to the lagoon, cover it over or something. Did you?
I clean it up every year.
No, we were told that we had to, that we had one that hadn't been covered, an old one or something. The town administrator told us that, we had a budget for that. I'm not really a lagoon person, I've never seen it, I don't want to go look at it.
Oh, there's a fund to,
Oh, that's in order to shut it like completely down.
is that what you're talking about?
No, we were told that is there one lagoon or two lagoons?
Well, there's two.
There's a whole,
So,
three, Big
we
one.
were told that there was one that needed to be covered. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's the whole thing, I remember we had to keep that in the back of our head. I did try to remember something, but I haven't touched it.
You're the youngest, you have to remember.
I think I have.
Oh,
yeah,
you.
yeah. Oh,
How come you don't remember?
That's right, you're 2 months younger than me, but that's really.
That's 10 years younger.
But I know there was something about the lagoon that we were supposed to cover,
Okay.
the older ones, you might want to look into
I
that.
guess we can give the answer, but we wasn't through that.
I just saw the,
Let's not discuss it. Let's
well, no, I saw the
put
lagoon, I wasn't sure.
on the list of questions, you and John. figure it out.
One question to research, who was the engineer that would have said that? Engineering firm.
Yeah, good question.
I was told we were supposed to do it years ago.
There's only two that are there, and two that are active.
I mean, in order to research that, it would help to know the name of the engineering firm.
I don't know.
I would get a hold of Lance, Wendy Tasker, and Dave Lane and check them out.
Well, Dave's coming out, so I'll talk to him.
Yeah, Dave's coming out this week.
Yeah.
Give Lance a call, he'll, you know.
I didn't want to stop that, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay. I might be thinking of something else, some other fund for closing them.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out and if you have to.
The line's very, very close. So we got 2,400.
I'm sorry, so where are we at here now? Okay, did you have a question, Ken?
No, I kind of talked to myself, but the lines are relatively close, like $2,400 different.
Yeah.
And that again, is you get that lagoon right there, so you ate up your savings on
It
electricity.
just sounds so fancy. Mm.
I have a question, Chris. It came up today that Rochester wants to know if we're going in on hazardous household waste collection for 2,154. Do we do that normally?
Usually it's advertised out to the public for collection in Rochester.
Right,
But if you want to be part of it, it has to be, you have to basically join the association on it.
right, you have to pay $2,154. Is that part of this hazardous waste number of 8,000? 9,000?
I would have to say yes. That's where most of the hazardous waste is collected out of anyway, so.
And what's the rest of that hazardous waste?
Basically after action balls, things like that, that have to be paid and removed.
Could you speak slower and right into the mic?
There's a bunch of other items that we have at the facility that have to be recycled properly, collection light bulbs, silicone mercury, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
And this year's up, 85.98, so.
Yeah. He's got a budget of what we spent.
Is that number up because of the increased amount of items that people have been putting out of their house?
So basically,
So would it be can we anticipate up next year? I mean, this is an extraordinary year,
I mean, this, unfortunately, it basically put a lot of strain on us because everybody is home. So I mean,
right?
you know, there's a lot more stuff coming in, there's a lot more stuff going out, and it's kind of been killing my budget, but.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, push came to shove on that line, because you're using kind of an eyeball on this year's number, which is an extraordinary number. So you might, in actuality, next year, repeat, everybody's throwing their TVs out. Perhaps next year won't be as heavy.
Let's make a note on that, and when we get into discussion as to where, if or where we want to make the cut, let's remember that as one of the ones we want to consider.
I just wanted to point out that, so the 2019 actual was over 9,000.
Say that again,
The
please.
2019 actual was over $9,000.
Excellent.
So we need to remember that we're working on several years of the fall
Excellent
budget,
point.
while we're looking at the
Yeah,
Well, that's an excellent point.
yeah, so if you take a look at 2019 and then year to date, the 9,000 doesn't look that much out of line.
Right. I think that's a really good point.
And I guess to your point, 2019, we weren't quite into the, people cleaning out. So maybe we'll see a little bit more.
So actually, we're doing well. If it's an extraordinary year compared to the budget line of 2019.
Okay, any further discussion on the sanitation administration? Hearing none, I'm going to move on to what I think is one of my most favorites, the solid waste disposal. A perennial favorite for all, really, I think. I'm just going to start by saying, Chris, I think you underestimated this. Can you convince me otherwise?
On which one?
Well, let me just say it this way. Year to date, you've already spent $112,000, which is, in round numbers, $40,000 a quarter or $160,000 a year, and you're only budgeting $136,000.
Right.
So that leaves me feeling uneasy. Can you ease my concerns, or?
I can absolutely. So basically, obviously, we signed a new contract with Waste Management for our our solid waste, our active cardboard and plastic recycling program. In turn, that basically cut our disposal of cardboard and plastic in half. So basically, weekly, we were sending out one can to an RRA was processing it through the car, and it was paying between $700 and $800. Right now, we should be on pace to be about $200 to $250 per load now, not including trucking. Without trucking.
Okay.
So that's one of my biggest savings and one of my biggest areas. That was one of my biggest returns when I came on here. How much we were paying to actually recycle. That's why I sought contract elsewhere.
Okay. Other questions from other folks? Now.
So on dental and furniture disposal, if we look at the adopted and the requested 25,000 compared to the 2019 and 2020 actual, that seems pretty inflated. Is there a reason we need it that high?
On the furniture demo disposal?
Yep.
So basically, under with our billing and stuff, it was taken all out of one line, dispersed among the two. So basically, typically hauling and disposal taken out of one line. That's why you can see the expense on it is really low. So this year, moving forward, it's going to be broken out a lot better, between tipping, hauling, and actual disposal.
So you think we're tracking and coding everything?
It was, on top of our finance people.
Yeah, I know that there was a lot of questions in the past couple of years about really getting that coded properly. And it seems like we've struggled. I know Dina said she struggled with it for a while. And
Ideally, I'd like to just combine everything and pay it out of one.
but then we don't know what's going on. So you think you got that under control now? We have accurate.
Yeah, the bills will be a lot more accurate now, especially with waste management. The ones we got through NRRA they weren't quite, they weren't user friendly, put it that way.
Yeah. So is the transportation, Chris, for all transports? Does that include solid waste, the garbage, the cardboard, and if we haul away other stuff and have to pay the hauling.
So that's basically our transportation, obviously you see that one.
Yeah, so,
But you're saying you're gonna break that out, so transportation of the demo and furniture would go under line 4324. No.
Yes. Yeah, so no matter what, it'll be broken up a lot easier, so.
say that again, I think I.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So the transportation costs associated with hauling the demo and furniture will go under line 380 with the demo furniture disposal. Whereas household trash, cardboard, plastic would go under 385.
Okay,
Stuff we're collecting fees for base versus that which we are basically, right?
okay, so. Other questions? Then what's the landfill cost?
That's basically our, River River is the, holds our contract for, disposal of household trash to turnkey. And that's only good for another, I think, 2 years, and then we have to see other avenues on that, because it's gonna be a significant increase in, disposal of household trash for landfill.
Okay. Not this year, though.
Nope, no, we'll probably another 2 or 3 years on the contract.
Well, let's be proactive in terms of looking for that and bidding it.
Are looking at it.
Any other questions on solid waste disposal?
I don't know,
Go ahead, Tim.
I don't know if this, the point now, but, at the transfer station, do we have a list of what we charge people inside that building?
Yeah.
Okay, so just decide
So the only thing that is not, is basically at the discretion to figure out the attendance, is construction debris and things like that. So when you come in, it's basically $4 a cubic foot, and then basically the transfer station attendant has to figure out roughly how much there is, and then give it a fee. So,
I pay my $40.
I'll pay you like,
My $40 on Sunday.
Okay, so any other discussion on solid waste disposal? Hearing none. I'm just gonna look at the bottom of your page here. You have, road paving warrant articles, which look to be in the same range as the past year,
yeah, so basically,
approximately.
yeah, so I can speak on that. So the paving one article that I'm going for is basically taking the same amount of road frontage that we did last year and turning it over and moving it next year. So basically taking 3 roads, 2 decent sized roads and 1 short road, so we can actually start bringing our infrastructure up a lot better than what it is.
But your number is over 4, correct?
426, I believe. And that's obviously not anyone. So there's a lot of areas in there that I can cut.
Okay, so there's a couple parts to this. The one part is, John said your number came in at 426 or something. Does that include the base and the top coat, or just the base?
Nope, that's complete grinding and basing, the way we've been working it.
But that doesn't include the top coat.
That does not include the top coat. No.
Right, so that brings me then to the next question is, should we be considering, maybe it's a separate warrant article, top coating certain of our roads so that we start maintaining them better for a long-term lower cost? I understand short-term.
So basically the way I would work right now is the roads that are in complete disrepair, we're grinding and basing.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to, for instance, another 3 roads next year, and then another 3 roads the year after that. And then in turn, after about 2 or 3 years of doing actual road grinding and basing, we can go back to our prior roads and actually start top coating to get the final
I
product.
don't think Dennis Pond will.
What's that?
Dennis Pond used to be a top coat. I'm probably the weight grade for.
It's been 3 years on that one. So next year it'll be a top coat on that.
Dennis Pond was 3 years ago.
It was in 2018, right?
No, Jensen was before we did Bull Lake Road, and Bull Lake Road was a 2 or 3 year project. Jensen was.
Well, you said the highway committee's gonna get together, why don't we sort this out? I just would like you to address that, because the top coating does, in the long term, help us. It only help us if we get it on in time.
Usually it's been 2 or 3 years, but the seam down there, the center, it's already pressed.
But yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, the contractor we have now doing our grinding and basing is provided a lot better service than we've ever had. Unfortunately, they're not, you know, the highest, they're right in the middle, and they provide a great service to us. So unfortunately, that falls back on me.
Right?
Yeah, I remember when you were saying they were down, what, 18 or 20 inches on Ridge Road.
Yeah. So they provide a lot better service for us than we've ever had.
Okay, well, I don't think we can talk much more about the paving and warrant articles till Chris and the highway committee sort some of those things out and have some recommendations. So let's move along. I see 2 pieces of equipment, and that always perks my interest. So truck number 1.
So truck number 1 is a 2020 International CV, which is basically, it's an in-between truck between our new HP that we have and our 550. So it has the same capabilities as our HP truck, same size plow wing, same size sander. It's a lot smaller of a chassis to actually be able to put on some of our other roads that we need on. So that total number on that one is actually 124,500.
Okay, does that replace a truck that we have, or is it in addition to trucks that we
It'll
have?
be in addition to, because obviously we have one truck that's in disrepair right now. And,
So we have 2 trucks for that.
we do have 2 trucks for sale.
So that's part of what's going on.
So
Okay,
How much do we have in the account, do you know? Would it be enough to buy that big truck?
in the external truck?
Yeah.
No, I believe it's around 93,000.
Typically, we put like 25 into it a year. So if we. And typically ask for 2 trucks and then we have it.
well, we'll go through that. I think, Chris, let me ask the board what they want to do. I think we're just, for the warrant, we're just starting to get an idea as to what we're looking at. And I'll just say it very openly. I think, you know, putting some of these on the warrant articles gives the people a chance to weigh in terms of how fast they want to spend the money and some other things. So I at least agree with the approach. But if it's the board's pleasure, I'd like to just say, okay, you're making us aware of this, and then if we get through the budget, we'll circle back and do the warrant articles in a little bit more detail rather than try to, you know, draw it out now before Chris has maybe have all the information. Is everybody comfortable with that approach? Okay. But again, I think, I personally like this, splitting it out like this. The operating stuff is very clear, and then this stuff is separate, and the folks can weigh in on how to deal with that. Okay, so I guess given that we got down to that point, is there anything else for Chris?
Oh, we want the second truck?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. Yeah, tell us about the second truck.
Second truck is a 2020 Dodge 2500. That's basically for it's public performance truck, so I can actually utilize the final intersections on Route 4 rather than having some of my commercial vehicles backing into Route 4. It's a lot easier than moving around to pick up doing intersections and allowing the trucks to actually proceed down the road such. That's the one that's coming out of the external trucks account.
Okay. So I'm just going to state something that I would like to advocate for in terms of our philosophy on the warrant article. So, like, I'm just going to use this first truck as the example. And I'm not saying we're doing it this way, but if we're going to put on the warrant article $136,000, that's the total cost of the item, including everything that we need to get it roadworthy and all that type of stuff. Now, if there's money coming from two different places, we'll state that within the warrant article, but we need to tell the people the total cost that we're gonna expend on that item. I'm opposed to saying article number 1 has this, article number 2 has this portion of something that should go together. We did that a couple of years ago. It's completely confusing. I really am advocating if we're gonna spend money, it's to spend a total of this with the funding broken out like that's what we do. So if you could just keep that in mind, because maybe you will choose to take some money from other places or get grants or whatever. Let's just make it real clear. Let's make it clear to the public the total cost right up front of what you're going to expend. Okay? Okay, does anybody have any questions on the trucks or the road paving?
I got a question, when you tell me what payments do we have in the truck we have now and the backhoe?
Let's
Because
get that.
if you have a backhoe payment for the backhoe, payment for the big truck, and then we can't afford 5 payments on vehicles, that's a lot.
Well, that should be part of, John, I think that should be part of when we start to, in the past, we've done those warrant articles, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
just curious how you can hear that.
Yeah, so I think that sort of summary is what we need. And again, let's put the request in, John, and that'll be part of the details when we circle back after the operating budget, so to speak.
So am I to understand that there are some vehicles on a lease purchase in which you've got out years of the lease purchase that need to be in individual warrant articles because you're not putting them in the budget?
Yeah.
Right, so this is where the taxpayers going to see, we've done the year 3 for this truck, year 4 for a backhoe, then we're going to get asked for another big truck, and we're asking for another truck. That's like a lot, so.
We need to list them all out, and then people need to make the choices, but we have to be clear on that. So, John, maybe at our next get together, we can go through the warrant articles.
Yeah, I can do the warrant articles and see what's still on.
Yeah, you should be able to. Okay, but that's a good point. And then I think again, to make the citizens' input, let's be real clear what the total tally is. And, maybe as part of our education and our outreach, we can say, look, some of these are ongoing payments and really, we've been using this equipment to.
Right, well, I'm curious, and to buy another contract, that we could say, we can offset, well, if we have a contract, we're not paying $95 an hour for a plow driver, so.
Yeah,
Maybe we can offset.
yeah.
What was your reason behind buying, what was it, the cheapest?
The TV chassis,
Yeah,
it's basically, you can replace the international with industry repair. And then, basically I can cut quite a bit of other roads and actually use it on other roads, for instance, Old Turnpike Road, Old Canada Road.
the bomb?
Because it's a lot smaller chassis, but it's all the capability of pushing back. The 550 is great for opening roads, but it unfortunately doesn't have enough weight to actually push the roads back. So then you turn take a big 6-wheeler on there. And
So is that a one-time?
nope, it's over one ton. It's 22,500 GW.
Other questions? You ready?
Well, I'm kind of looking at your bottom line. Well, 2019 actual versus the 2021 request, and also referring to your 2020 expenditure to date of 918. So I'm seeing a 43, a little less than $44,000 increase over what actual 2019 expenditure. But I'm seeing a good line for this year. It's still winter to go.
Yep.
So are you anticipating having a surplus this year?
There should be some left over in as far as snow plowing maintenance, snow plowing. If we don't have a bad, for a couple months into the snow season, but we'll see.
And correct me if I'm wrong, a surplus, 20% could be kept within his department now. What's the You have a circle, so you all get turned back or all? All? Okay, all
I
right.
mean, we can, I mean, the departmental bottom line gets consumed by the overall bottom line at the end of the day.
Hal and I went through the numbers today, and we think there'd be about $200,000 savings overall in this budget.
And that does not account for additionally getting back another 100,000 from COVID.
Although COVID won't hit any of his lines, but it looks like he's going to return, especially in that 43,121 line, over 150,000.
Yeah, don't get too excited on that, because some of that was, we had default budget for 2 years, which included paving and stuff, and the overall total.
But that was the budget he reduced substantially because he had warrant articles to do the paving.
Yeah, so this year we're trying to make it very clear that's the approach we're taking. So I guess, Pam, to your point, yeah, on the paving and reconstruction, we had in the budget, because it was a default budget, and just had it in from that year, 150,000 was saving that from the,
Because this year is a
yeah.
different year.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that we can get some clarity on that. There's a lot of line items like that where, because it's been different for years, we never got it straightened out. So I'm hoping we can do that. Okay, further questions on the overall budget now?
Yep, so just a quick warrant article question, Chris. So I share that's concern around, if we're seeing too many expenditures out of the warrant for highway related equipment. I think we run the risk of people being like, well, no at all, right? So between those two trucks, what's the priority? Do I assume it's the bigger one?
It was definitely the bigger one. Unfortunately, the other thing is as far as the, not even per se, the public works foreman truck. Unfortunately, our little runaround vehicle that we have now is past its time. It's too small to be really pull the work rate, but it's just a little tool drive these days.
I am nervous about it. It's a lot easier to get those on board when we're retiring other things.
What's that?
It's a lot easier to put new things on board when we're retiring payments from like the back. Right? So if we're not having to get permission to expend those funds, followed by a new piece of equipment, followed by another expenditure, followed by a new piece of equipment. It just, that part makes me a little nervous. It's not even really about the bottom line. It's more about, it just feels like a lot, even though we've already made those lease agreements, even though something like the public works foreman truck is going to get paid for out of the capital reserve fund. It doesn't always feel that way when you're sitting there looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would be the public works truck. I mean, it should be clearly specified in the warrant article that, there's no tax impact on it, money that's already granted and guaranteed.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I see the selectmen to be, this is a big deal that I spend out of that.
Yeah.
I just think it would look nicer to the taxpayers if we said, okay, we have this fund, and with this fund, we're going to buy the international. So, and so, we're still get 130.
No, there's like 90 something.
So we kept $90,000 and the truck is 124. It looks better to say, we're gonna put the $90,000 in the truck, and we're gonna pay the rest of it. First, I don't know, just.
Well, I think that's,
This is all discussion I have here. I have no problem with that.
It's better having a 5-year lease than a 2-year lease, and then get paid off by next snowfall, so.
I think this is a good discussion. Do you want to have more of that discussion tonight, or do you want to wait till we get to the rest of the budget and look at the warrants and some of John's list in the whole?
I'm fine putting the rest of that discussion off for a little bit. I just wanted to, as I'm thinking about stuff, I wanted to make sure I had it straight in terms of, if you put him to shove, we wanted to choose one truck or the other, or look at the way we're going to fund one truck or the other. I just want to make sure I have all the correct information. So.
And when you say fund, let's just talk philosophy a little bit. Are you thinking that maybe we would propose those of these to the voters out of deference to Chris, but maybe vote not to recommend one of them? Is that what you mean, or?
So that's certainly an option. I mean, and I do think that we need to listen to the department heads in their warrant requests. Whether we vote for it is a different story, but even more so, like Beth was just saying, if we were to pay for, say, half of the national out of the reserve fund and try to fund the rest through either the budget or the separate warrant, then we'd be creative.
Well, I think those are all good discussion points.
I'll be right there.
I need my little movie here. Okay, so, Chris, this is about the time it starts to get ugly in the budgeting process. So, I'm gonna ask you point blank, are the trucks on the CIP plan?
I don't think there's really much of a CIP plan in the first place.
No,
That's
not
something
CIP.
discussion we're gonna have.
And we're working with
So,
you on
I
that.
know a second big truck was, we talked about that.
It
2
wasn't
years ago, we
originally,
were gonna try to make the big truck you're getting right now last another year or two before we had to buy one. But it does save $95 an hour power. So that was the goal, was to get that, because we put a lot of money into that truck last year. We put like
not last year, year before.
it was like $30,000 in that truck. So we were hoping
Not
to,
unexpected. Okay,
well, we
so,
can get a little more out of it, we put so much money into it.
okay, so we really are gonna have to have a much more detailed discussion when we see how all these payments pan out and how they lay together. Okay. So,
I believe the lease purchase on the back was on top of it.
I don't know, it seems like it should be.
where's the book? It's in the book.
3 or 5. this coming year. This is 3 or 5?
No, it seems like.
The
it.
truck was 2 or 7.
Seems like-
Oh.
seems like it's-
Yeah, one way go.
Okay, well, I think that was a good discussion. Please, sort of keep that in your mind, circle back, keep it in mind as we go through the other ones. So I think it'll make for a good overall discussion when we get to how do we, present the budget, how do we explain it, how do we, sell the warrant articles as we see fit. Okay, anything else, Chris, that you want to bring up while you're here?
Pretty good.
Okay, well, appreciate all the effort that you put into it, thank you, and also appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Are we moving back to tree cutting now or that later?
If you'd like to loop back to tree cutting now, let's do it. Oh, you mean moving back to authorizing the payment for the tree cutting?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're still here.
You want to do that now, John?
Yes.
Okay. So, up for discussion right now is,
Do we make a motion and discuss, or how, what?
well, let John,
Okay.
the philosophy that Pam suggested, I believe is a good one. Let's present the information, so that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Then we'll look for a motion, then we'll do the discussion.
Yeah.
So, the information first.
We had suggested waiting until we knew better where the budget was, let the road firm up, get colder weather, before we put the crane out there. The paving company told us that the crane should not be a problem on the road. Chris has got some better numbers, so he's brought the number in. Now, under 25,000, so my recommendation is the board authorize Chris to proceed with that quote to have the trees cut, that we need to have cut on that road that we paved.
The Breckenridge and,
That's for grading basket. So basically the worst of the trees.
More questions about what we're proposing to do. So,
Could I have an amount just?
budget 25,000.
It was under the 25,000 spending cap that you had in, but I believe it was 23,500. Yeah.
It's still northern, right?
It's, yeah, more than 3 service.
All right, so make a motion
let's hold
to,
the thing, I got more questions first.
we have discussion coming up,
We
so.
have a question in terms of the information.
Okay.
So, is this all the trees, or just some of the trees?
This is all the trees that will impact the road. The ones that are, close to the easement or whatever, those will not be done, those will be done at a later date.
It's not the ones that are Which one doesn't include?
So the estimate is for every tree that's going to impact the road that we just paved. The other trees that are already there, they're far enough back that they're not going to impact anything.
Oh, okay.
So at a later date, they'll have to come down because I mean, they're the same thing, they're trying to come to disrepair.
But if they're and set up, it'd be cheaper to take 2 or 3 more now with a couple more $1,000 we got.
For those size trees, and you might get one for a couple of grand.
Did, just an aside, did we ever get the trees around town hall, which I had requested?
That's under Eversource, unfortunately, because it is,
They're right in the lines.
Okay, so, any,
Well, if we're saying up to 25,000, and you can get one more tree, I'd rather $1,000.
The grain, yeah, so remember.
okay, so,
Do you know how many other trees there were? Like, what, if we did them all, what would it cost?
oh, Jesus.
I thought it was 30 before, 29.
oh,
No, we wanted the $40,000-$50,000 range.
I thought first of all, it was at 60.
There was a couple that came in, yes.
So, but I tend to agree with whoever said it. You know, if they're there and we say up to 25,000, you can grab another one.
It's one more year.
Can we just set a contract with them up to contract?
The crane set up, they're there, the road shut down for
Yeah.
a day, so.
So, would you consider that motion then?
Whoa, I can make a motion?
Yeah, no,
Whoa,
I don't know, that's about surprise.
let me,
Hold up, you guys, yeah, tell me.
Yes.
let me get my puppet. Okay, I would like to make a motion to expend up to $25,000 to complete the tree removal cutting on Tasker Hill and Ridge Road that, on the newly paved surfaces there that we had postponed because of, our getting the training. So up to $25,000 to get as many trees as you can get.
Well, the important ones and then extra.
The important ones and extra, whatever you can eat out of that.
Do you have a second?
Second?
Come on,
No matter,
who was you on second while you were running?
I'll give you number 1, not 2 there.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Now we're opening it up for discussion as to the merits of this, motion. Tim?
Time frame, they come right in and
So originally, when we discussed this, I contacted them and they gave me the estimate. I gave it to you guys to review.
we're gonna start within the week.
And they called and said they were on their way. I said, whoa. So, I'll get in touch with the contract work inspector tomorrow and, that'll be a better time frame. But obviously, it's not gonna be a slow time of year for them, hopefully, so.
They can knock it out, look at it, it's gonna, $25,000 money, but the sand and salt on that road and hill is gonna, you see the significant difference on that in the sun.
I've seen some people.
Keep John informed on that so he can pass it on to us as far as the progress and when they're gonna do that, so we have a heads up on that. Would you need to have notification of, the people who use that road?
Most any project I do in town, I usually, go on the community chat, I usually give a little update or heads up, this area and things like that.
And I think most of that, I mean, just being in the contract work, you could still go up Tasker Hill Road for a day, and we block it off at Ridge Road, yeah, when the local agents drive the local traffic and shut that whole hill right down for a day. They pay them stuff the whole entire road, so you still, no houses on that hill, so nobody's impact.
Right, it's about the other way.
And, last time when we were doing the paving project, we had a lot of community chat about flagmen and also, is that something that the tree cutting firm?
So I did talk to,
or?
I talked to chief of police and stuff, and there will be a detail officer out there, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's
So
the
that's
only thing.
additional cost.
What's that?
That would be an additional cost.
It will be some additional cost.
Should
We need to look into that, because being on a road that's posted 25, 30 miles an hour, I can see on Route 4 that I thought the police had to be out there, but
Police have to be up there on the main.
on the main road, but on a road 25 miles an hour, if it's gonna technically fall in the town work,
I think you're right.
We don't need, I mean, we're gonna have a cop sit there all day long for $100 an hour, so.
Let's let Chris
To the
and
taxpayer.
let's let Chris and John work that out. I think it's a good point.
Yeah, does it have to be police officer, could it be municipal employee or flag?
So let's let them work it out.
How you apply?
Hold on, we did not vote on this. Is
And
it-
just, I mean, like a 4 or 5 days a week, what did they do?
They were projecting probably a good week.
Further discussion?
Do we have a place that they're gonna dump at the ball field or the bank?
So most everything that they're gonna be chipping is coming back to the transfer station. So I need for erosion control, and then the trees that the landowners do not want, because some landowners do want for some reason, are going to that, and then the other one will have to dispose of.
I would just like to make an motion there that whatever dumped at the ball field, they push over the hill, not up to us. I have another question coming up from the bridge project, so. It's like when they did the culvert project, all Ridge Road, they hauled all the material up there. In the contract, they were supposed to level it out and push it over the bank. Some of it got done, some of it didn't get done, so it's on us to level it. So any trees you dump over the bank, put them over the bank, not way up high, that we have to deal with them.
Okay, I don't think it needs to be part of the motion, Tim, because that's part of managing the
That's
contract.
part of the contract.
And that's what Chris, so you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, I got it.
It's a good point, but it doesn't affect us.
No, I'm sorry.
It affects him managing the job. Okay, so further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Matt?
Yes.
Tim? Oh. Gee, Tim?
What did I miss? Yeah.
He held up a year.
I need a stuffed cat I can have over here too.
I'm trying to do a roll call vote here.
Yeah.
Beth?
Yes.
Pam?
I can't go to what's on TV.
And Howard, yes. Okay.
Is anyone saying that they can't hear us this evening, or is it looking?
Yeah, we've had, Susan has indicated there have been some issues. I tried to address them when they came up, as far as sounding muffled and it being a little difficult. She's indicated she's gonna have trouble doing the minutes from the tape
It was tough last time.
because it's not coming across real clear.
And we're gonna have to, just so the public knows, we're trying a new device here. We may have to fiddle with it or maybe try some other options. But we did take the feedback and tried to do something about it, but maybe we made a little progress.
Yeah, because I think I voted for Gazebo out on Norfolk Lake last time. I'm not sure.
We'll do my back here.
Yes.
Okay, so anything else?
One other thing before Chris leaves, an update on the bridge for the public.
So, after I swung down yesterday and, they poured the last two, external joints, they poured with, concrete and, so the whole bottom structure, all the pieces were in. And then today they were hopefully going to be working on the actual approach ramps and we all set them off, final pavement.
Wow,
Very good, thank you.
good. Tim, do you have a question on that?
I looked through the contract, I couldn't see where were the spoils were supposed to be dumped. I know they dumped a lot of them at our transfer station. All the big concrete slabs up there, I was told. Why is that up to us to take?
So yeah, some of the spoils and stuff, I told them that, if it was decent road gravel and stuff, they could dump up there,
Okay.
or decent fill material.
Concrete stones?
Well, yeah, some of that stuff came in that I wasn't aware of.
So how do we address that?
I mean, call for the bank now for spill, so. That was under my authority, I gave them permission to dump up there.
Further questions on the bridge? No, it's a big project.
I just, for my information, because I'm not really on highway with Tim, why would concrete chunks, you not want them as fill? Or are
It's
they?
usually up to the contractor to haul them off and get rid of them, not dump them on our town, and we have to spend our, hourly rate guy in the back and push them over.
Push them over, but they don't harm anything.
Well, I think you were misled by that conversation in the first place, because the amount of material that actually was concrete. is not as much as you think it was.
Okay.
So I'll have that discussion with him tomorrow.
Okay. But even if it was used as fill,
There was some, couple loads of them that had mixed concrete and gravel in them.
you would not want fill as.
I mean, suitable fill,
Well,
it's
it's
just,
not clean fill.
It's not clean
It's
fill.
not clean fill.
well, suitable fill, it's not like you're something you build on the road.
Okay,
None of
all
that
right.
are used better at the ball field than at the transfer station?
The transfer station, I'm trying to push that bank back a little bit more.
Oh, because of bird pits, is that what?
Yeah. That's basically about it, so we can have a little bit more room back there. We use it.
And that's just, for my information as far as, not knowing what's fill and what's not fill.
Well, sometimes my source is not the greatest, so we'll.
Yeah, I mean, there were some big chunks up there, and the bigger chunks, for instance, one load that was indicated up there, because I want to put, some rocks up there so people don't have any issues with going to the bank and using it as barrier, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Chris. At this point, it's 7:20, do we want to take a 5-minute break, or do we want to go right into the other budget items?
So we're on first one?
Here we are.
I got 2 minute bio.
Okay, 2-minute bio, let's keep it to
New guy
that.
working good?
What's that?
New guy working good?
The new guy? Yeah. No, he's pretty great.
Okay, so we're going to take a 2-minute bio, then John, you can start working down to the, first back to the top of the detail.
And I don't know if it's actually, I don't think it's full of that much water.
Yep.
I don't know if it was initially meant as a swale or if it was just a hole in there for whatever reason.
I can tell you.
If you could just take a peek, and if we get something that, if it's not necessary, or you think it'll serve its purpose with some fill in there, I was even thinking good sized rocks. Would leave plenty of empty space, you know, nothing would do its job, but still make it clear that occasional irrigation and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know we have some rocks up back and stuff, like that always puts the ball right there. You know, put some rock right along the line.
Go look at it, and then whatever you think makes sense.
Well, the area I'm thinking, are you talking about the other? Basically, that's a mountain trail.
Nope. Towards Route 4. So you come in just as the road turns left and then makes that start back.
Yeah.
Right there would be on your right.
Okay.
Down toward the front. It's when you first, right on that first chunk of grass.
Okay. I'll look at it tomorrow.
Just take a peek. Let me know. And if you want to pay for it, recreation.
I mean, it's just small hole and stuff, I'm gonna have material tomorrow anyway, for the addition,
So I
so.
think we can pull something else.
Yeah.
Because we've had enough people driving, it's been a problem.
I can definitely do that.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for your note. Sounds very good.
We should put in,
To 28.
then more,
Everybody's over there.
but I think you can, all kinds of going on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's no much more, it's like, you know what? I really love this town. People that, I've never been inside their house offer me a business. That's north of there.
So where did it, I didn't go up to this.
So
Looking
it's
from
on,
my.
it's on the Stratford side. It's on the Stratford side of the house. The telescope vent went out horizontally through the wall. And instead of being one of those insulated pipes, we just a straight vent pipe. So however many years of heating, cooling, they got it right.
Oh, yeah. When we first moved into the house. One place that we used to work. We used to have a big kitchen, I think, but he was on fire something, and he didn't want to check the chimney for the fire, because he didn't have fire. So, ended up being.
Yep.
And it was a good thing they had to check it out, because they don't put chimney tile up to check for load. The rest of it was brick, but it was all right. So we had to take it down, get tiles, and, throw it down. And it's a good thing I did, because everything was all charred
Yeah.
and burned,
Oh,
and
sure.
one more fire. And you
You never know what.
it's made 1800.
Yep. Yep. Roll call. Oh, no. In the middle of it. What the hell's happening there? My house is on fire. Oh, my life
Keep throwing it over.
When I was there, the second day, and fire, it literally locked every single thing in the entire house. I will never have a story.
Well, yeah, you have like the bottom trees right there.
Too paranoid.
You know, I'm just so.
We just didn't have. If there were pure leaves on the trees still.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mess.
I would have been.
Yeah, you would have a nice view right over there.
So with that in mind, we're dancing in the moonlight.
Put on a little show for you.
Those leaves on the trees, I had a direct line to that side of the house.
You young ginger.
On the outside, with a bigger one around the outside, that much.
Yes.
And that thing is burning.
This is municipal. That's what it is.
It's all of our law.
This is the method.
But it's almost a zero clearance, because you have that, ceramic here, and then one ceramic.
I'm
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway,
not gonna happen.
I'm starting to like it.
I'm sorry,
I
Emily.
love it.
Select woman, would push me out of the bathroom.
We lost everything, like down to the ground.
So, John, you're gonna be up on,
Okay, if you've got the packet, it's page 3. Right, we'll begin with audit services, basically level funded. Plaza Sanderson's done a good job. I see no reason to change at this point. You should regularly change your auditor about every 5 years, 5, 6 years, just as a way of looking at your financials from a somewhat different standpoint and to avoid getting into a rut. The next one is assessing, and that brings up the question, 2021 is the beginning of a 5-year cycle. Whoever you start that cycle with would make sense to continue and finish that cycle with. The contract that we have with the current assessor runs out this year. So the question is, do you want to go out for an RFP, or do you want to continue with the current assessor? You would not be entering into a multi-year contract. It would be a series of 1-year contracts. And you could change, it's just a little more difficult to change in the middle of the cycles, because whoever comes in would then want to verify the work of the one who had gone before as far as the updates and everything. So it's relatively difficult now to find an assessing firm. It's a tight market. So I guess the question for the board is, to think about. You don't need to make a decision as far as the budget here goes, but if you want to go out for an RFP for assessing, you should do so sooner rather than later, so you are ready to hit the ground running in 2021.
And RFP stands for?
Oh, request for a proposal. Request for a proposal would be basically you want somebody who works with Avatar and has New Hampshire experience and has good references. Like I said, it's difficult. It's a profession in which the assessors are getting older, and they're not being replaced by people coming into the field as much as the need is.
So, John, we'll have that for separate consideration.
You're right. I just brought that up for a point. Basically, the budget is up 5,000 from what it was in 2019 actual. This current year is an odd year because you had extra work done, so that's why that's at 88. And you come down 33,000.
So we had a revaluation.
We had, I prefer not to call it a revaluation. It's a certification year and a statistical update.
Oh, you know how to use the words now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the 55,000 that you got in there represents what you think the current contractor can do it for next year.
Yes, but I don't want it to be it's not a firm number from him, because if you go up for RFP, he would not want to have his number known.
Right.
He did not give me that number. I chose that number based on what it had been costing before the certification, before this year, which is an extra expensive year because there's a lot of statistical updating that goes on.
Any questions on that? Dr. Ritter?
Oh, and incidentally, at the end of tonight, I'm going to ask the board to take a vote on the budgets that I'm presenting, because I think they're all pretty routine, and that way they will just get them off the table and move them on to the budget committee.
Okay, so, I think what we'll do is we'll go through all of them to get the information. People develop a sense of comfort or not, and then we can go down to the list. If everybody's comfortable doing all of them at once, we can do so. If people want to separate some of them out, we'll do that also. So just sort of keep that in mind, so that when we get to that point, we can break out what we need to break out. Okay, what's next, John?
The next is the verbal description by Linda Smith on a variety of budgets that are to follow. I hope that you look these over, because I'm going to go through the numbers themselves. If you have any questions, you can come back to this document to see the detail as to what was in there. Basically, planning is up $5,000. The board recently met with Traffic Regional Planning, had a discussion on the contract and what was going on, and adjustment to that. My recommendation, what's coming from the planning board is this number of 44,352. And incidentally, while I would like a vote tonight, some of these committees may come back with some changes, because not all the committees have fully examined all of these numbers, but I basically level funded most places unless I heard comments from somebody, or in this case, got it from Linda. These are Linda Smith's number.
Can I just jump in with one little thing? So last year we combined postage from every department under a common line under administrative.
I wasn't aware of that.
So these ones actually have a zero, like planning postages at $1, but just back on assessing at $50 in there, it's, nitpicky kind of thing, but I'd like us to be consistent with that if we can.
What approach do we prefer, all in one?
I don't care, I just want it to be the same across the
I think
board.
it's much easier all in one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's easier all in one, where are you gonna put it?
So I will take, it goes into financial administration.
Okay, the postage, all postage under financial administration.
So that means that we are amending, my request for assessing administration is amended downward by $49, leaving $1 in postage.
Okay, and then here we have $1.
Here you already have that, which is a good point. Okay, next is the zoning board of adjustment. And this is a board which I don't think has yet considered this, but it appeared to be that they wanted basically level funded. There is a slight increase in supplies that Linda explains, but there's also the postage is zero, as he mentioned earlier.
I'm not sure what the equivalent was.
So the 800, printing and advertising, is that the line you were
That's
asking?
1,800. I know that's up because what we have to by law, we still have to go by print. And, But the equipment at 150 a month, what equipment do you need?
Well,
What equipment do you get?
And you know, the darndest thing is that I've already seen it, so.
cost share on computer supplies, replacement keyboards, small office equipment, file cabinet, office furniture. Just little stuff. The cost gets divided out among the various land use departments.
Okay, any other questions on zoning? John, community hall, please?
Community hall, basically level funded it across, heating and maintenance and repairs are the two big items in that project.
Are we not parsing out the cleaning service for community hall?
No, we didn't, we just left all of that under the parade buildings.
Okay, so that's another note that all cleaning is one price.
Maybe we should put it here, I agree with, that's a good point, Matt.
You know how to divide it up, Kevin?
I thought it was, $50 a week, which would be $250.
During the regular year, we don't clean that, so should we just keep it together for now, because we don't usually clean it.
Right, it's COVID driven.
It's a COVID thing, so when we're doing it, it's not like we're always gonna have a cleaner.
We're gonna have like disinfectant, you run through the mop in the room, cover there, yeah.
I mean, I think it should be good there. As long as the COVID thing.
Yeah,
There's committees that use that clean up after, they do sweeping and stuff typically.
just to be aware, our ability to charge to COVID ends next week.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I'd like to see it in there just to be able to keep that running for as long as we need it to. And, you know, it's a municipal building, we should be keeping it clean.
We still should disinfect that on, even though without COVID, it still needs
Yeah,
to be.
I mean, even if once we get this under control, we drop it back to less frequent.
How about $100 a month?
Yeah.
That's about $100 a year. That'd be one good clean environment.
Yeah.
So if you can put 1,200 in there.
Light maintenance and then one good scrub in there.
Yeah, so that would be under contracted services, 1,200, so would you be asking John to reduce what was the line item you said, parade buildings?
I haven't done parade buildings yet, so I haven't, yeah. I won't put it in there,
So you'd be reducing that to offset the line item here.
but I won't, well, I don't, the parade building cleaning, I was going to add the community center money too, so I won't add it.
Okay.
Okay, I understand.
Yep.
So that line stays at $1, or does it go to 1,200?
Goes to 1,200.
Goes to 1,200, okay, gotcha.
Okay,
So that increases your line.
Okay, then, I actually got a call from Betsy today, and she made a good point that the stipend for the highway and the facility committee, while it had a long history for secretarial support, it really probably is unnecessary because it probably hasn't been used lately. And some member of the committee or somebody else could take it. So I'd be willing to take that $2,000 out of the stipend lines based on that discussion.
I spoke to her about that as well, and she explained, so yeah, I'm okay with taking that out.
I know Mary Knox did it for, back when I was just a town resident, showed up to meetings that she had a tape recorder and took notes, you know, the old tape cassette deck, and she went home and took notes for it, so.
You
Now
can do that.
Huh? I'm not doing it.
No, I think that it would be better to try to have somebody on the committee just take notes, and you don't need elaborate minutes on an advisory committee like this. You need to just meet the minimum of the law.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're gonna,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay,
So I'll remove $1,998,
okay.
leave $1. The police commission, that recommendation came from, Linda. Any justification was in her memo. The next is code enforcement. I built into there, the CEO salary, that we have. I cut contracted services, which is line 330, because, we really couldn't figure out what it was being used for, between Scott and I.
Which line?
Contracted service. Yeah, line 330, contract services.
You spent something in 2019, but nothing this year.
Yeah, and frankly, we couldn't figure out what it was, so we weren't gonna ask for it. Now, if we find out we're missing something, I'll come back and tell you.
So, John, on the CEO salary, how many hours is that based on, please?
It was 25 times, no, I have to do the math again.
So that's why I asked, it seems like an odd number, but maybe it's not odd to explain.
Okay, just a minute, get pull up the calculator again. 32890 divided by $25 an hour, divided by 52. That's 25 hours a week and $25 an hour. I don't know what it came out on.
Just saying, the math can't be right, but it's close.
It's roughly close, but yeah, it should be a number divisible by 25.
Right.
In my mind, anyway. Okay. And so based on that, you know, John, I hate to nitpick, but I think that should be probably 33,000.
25.
I mean, not that it's a big deal one way or the other, but.
It's 52.3, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 52.3 weeks per year?
Yes.
Okay, you got me on that one, buddy.
So it's 32,687.50.
Close enough. Okay. I retract my question. I retract my comment. Okay. Anything else on code enforcement?
Yes.
Go ahead,
The postage line 175, it might be under the total postage, and supplies and office equipment. I don't see a substantial, like, what's the difference between supplies and office equipment? And if you look at the money, that's like, you know, they're just requesting the money and it's not being expended. So we spent $28 this year between those two lines, and yet we have $1,100 tied up in there.
Right. I think what's happened with supplies is they've all been being billed. You know, we haven't been apportioning the cost out to the department, and that's just like the postage. So.
I thought we had a bunch of supplies that we were like using.
Yeah.
Like we had like a storeroom stuff. Those are buying that we're trying to use like what we had.
Right. In other words, there's stuff in there that we're using. We got a lot of stuff. We have some kinds, but not of others. We order paper, but we haven't been determining how much paper was used by the building inspector as opposed to finance or other office use. So
really, if you're looking, you get $1,100 in budget 2019, and we only used $465.
yeah, I'd be willing to cut that to 465 if that number could be justified.
Can I put $1 in office equipment?
No, office equipment, we're gonna have to buy 8 computers, and we have to portion them off over the departments. 200 actually, probably we ought to move that up to 800, because we are gonna have to buy computers. I hadn't thought about apportioning the computer by department. I was gonna put it all in one place, but if we put the computer here, it should be, they need a computer, so that would be 800.
So, just make it a.
Let's make it a wash. Reach
Almost a
$100.
Almost a wash. Okay, somehow you just got more money out of it.
Well,
Well,
it
You're
means
counting
that,
postage in there too, so.
You get them ripping those paper towels and that, and it won't, yeah.
Yeah.
Bouncy bitty size.
I don't
I
know.
do, it's like, I just can't believe you just like right around me.
Okay, but, I think what basically we're saying is the number's right, the distribution of the numbers is going to be adjusted.
Tweets online.
Understand how it works?
Before the next one, can we go back up to the highway facility committee? Should we level that down to zero because you took away their stipend, but we're still paying social security, Medicaid, Medicare?
Yeah, you're right. Those should come out too. Good point. Good catch. So just leave, so that budget's gonna be down to $100 in supplies and $4.
All right, okay.
So we still have supplies on that, I think, that would be if I typed that minutes and then I asked to have them printed here, so I'm.
Right, or you printed it at
Have
home and
supplies, because I would send it to like Linda or Susan to print them.
Yeah, but it allows us to spread the cost over the departments.
Yeah. Cell phones, why, it's only a couple $100, but why is there such a difference in cell phones?
Yeah.
I'm looking between code enforcement and emergency management. Just wouldn't, do you have more than one cell phone, or is it different service, or?
Oh, might be special.
yeah, I don't know why emergency management wanted to stay at that number. The way I got the 507 for the building inspector is I took the monthly cost and multiplied it by 12.
And that's just breaking out cell phone costs amongst departments, or? Because I noticed he was at $1 before that. So.
The bill breaks it out by phone.
And so you're putting that 500 in instead of the $1?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not sure what was being done for a phone before because you had a fireman who may have had a phone through the fire department.
Sure.
But in this case, Scott needs his own phone,
Right.
and he got one of the assigned that we have from Verizon. One thing you may want to do on this, your phone bill looks to me like you're not on the best government plan. I know there's some good government plans out there, and if I got time, I would like to, or we could have the new town administrator talk with Todd Wiggin, the man's name is, and there is some really good data share based phone systems where the monthly cost would be in the $25 range instead of the $42 range.
Are we all under the same provider now, or do people have different providers on these phones over the years?
I'm aware of the Verizon bill. I'm not aware of the other providers.
Just curious, it would make sense to have, a town.
Went to a different plan, I know we have like oodles of new phones came in and stuff beginning of the year.
You're talking the voice over IP.
No, this is
Yes,
cell phones, I know,
Oh,
because Mark had asked for people that if they already had a phone phone, if they were ready to upgrade. Which just happened.
yeah. In the government plan, most of them, every other year, or sometimes even every year, you can upgrade your phone, and you share the data, so you get a block of data that's shared by everybody, so that the phone that sits in the fire truck and is only used a few hours a week, their data is being shared by, say, a police officer who's making a lot of calls. I have not taken time to review the phone plan, but it would make sense to do so.
And the upgrades complete, I had government contract several years ago, we got upgraded in months of
Yeah.
So it might have just been those upgrades done. You don't necessarily have to get a contract.
Sometimes you can look, when I didn't upgrade, I changed my plan, I'm saving $35 so.
It's worth looking at. I also just got a message that the former building inspector's phone was paid for through code enforcement. enforcement, so it might have just been miscoded for 2019.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so what's the bottom line on code enforcement then? Are we leaving it as is, or are we making edits to that?
We're just tweaking lines, right?
I didn't hear any specific tweaks other than postage.
You tweaking between,
$500.
office supplies, yeah,
You actually changed it by, $9.
it went up $9, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you changed it by $9.
Okay, so this is just we rearranged up to 38,950. Yeah. Okay.
So, but I do think that's more accurate to reflect what we're doing there in that department. Police commission, I think it's all pretty straightforward.
Wait,
Oh, wait a minute, we went back, we've already done that one, we're on CO. Now we're on to emergency management. You get real good bang for your buck with Bob Young and all the work he does on.
Well, so and he's up late at night and doing his emails.
Oh, yeah.
Always depending on email from me.
That one's small.
No, you're.
Yeah, was it any good or?
No.
Now,
Was good or not?
now, Bob does every warrant article that he would like, which is and I think it's the board's decision, I would tend to put it right in the budget rather than put it as a warrant article, is a $4,000 emergency operations plan, which has got a $2,000 match to it. And rather than, I wanted to talk to the board philosophically as far as, I don't believe in warrant articles for small amounts of money.
Right.
So therefore, I think to add $4,000 to the budget here and not put it in a warrant article, and we'd add $2,000 to the revenue. We add $4,000 to the expenditure and we add $2,000 to the revenue.
Okay.
Is that what the board would like to
Into
do?
his budget?
Hmm?
Into his.
Yeah.
Right,
What we call it, just, emergency plan, operation plan?
Contracted services is what I would guess it would do, because it's a plan, we're gonna ask somebody to help us do that. Is that not correct?
I would put, I hate to add lines here in the small budget, I just call it, management costs.
Okay,
Because he could do it himself, but it's rather difficult, so he's contracting it and getting a grant to do it. So I would add $4,000 to management costs.
And then put 2,000 when the grant comes in.
Well, add 2,000. Now this one here, if you budget it, you can't count it as unanticipated except for expense. So the 2,000 would be anticipated, would be part of the revenue projection.
And that revenue would come in, what, into the general fund?
Yes. So in that case, the revenue would just be received as a general revenue, and the expenditure would come out of the operating budget.
I'm just gonna look towards the door for a minute and see if I get the inkling that the budget committee would have any issues with putting that under management. Mr. Door, seems like it'll be fine.
I didn't see any burning red.
I was figuring that stuff out in that.
No, I'm saving during your hours for later.
I think you can justify that. If we have to add a line, we'd add a 330 line for contracted services.
So,
Right, so then that's up to.
339 to your.
No, I'm saying if you decide not to leave it under management costs.
Makes sense to me.
Under management, should be.
We're talking 69, $7,000.
So you'd be putting that 4,000 up on line 691?
Yeah. That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, no, I got that. Just question which line.
So,
Yeah, line 691.
but I think it does follow the philosophy we put the entire expenditure in. Because that's what we're gonna actually write the PO for.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we all got that.
Gross appropriation, which is what you're supposed to do if you know ahead of time that you're getting.
Right, and you know you're gonna spend it, so.
Okay, anything else on this? Emergency management. If not, John, what's the next?
Health.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
After that,
He's,
the documentation that Bob provided for, the EO, emergency operation plan.
okay, I want to look at what he said.
Then you've got to skip over highway and sanitation to be done as well. So health is on page 23 if you're in the package. I level funded, I know you've offered a salary of $25 an hour, but I just level funded the health officer's salary at what it was at 6,648.
Did you want to change that?
No,
Well, because it's still, is that going to be the deputy or the health officer? But you still have that dollar figure.
Yeah,
Really, it's about the 60, 48 is supposed.
That's like 250 hours of time.
And I think we'll have leftovers there. Are we gonna pay if the, code enforcement officer is doing septic inspections?
that's just under his.
Just under.
Under his regular inspection. I'm not paying any stipend to the deputies.
I'm trying not to lower my mask and pee in my shirt.
Yeah, so this is just for, in this case, not Colleen.
Hourly.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, and
265 hours. I just a little, $2 short of that.
You look at what we spent, last year.
Oh, given how busy she is, I would expect that this is here in case something or other comes up. I know that COVID has really put a lot of stress on health officers around the state with additional work that they hadn't had before, and they've become busier because of it. But
And, maybe over the years, we've kind of taken it for granted that it was a little side thing. This year, emergency management, and all that becomes so important.
yes,
what's the environmental emergency dollars for now?
if you tell me the emergency, and I'll tell you what it's for. It could be an environmental spill where we have to get clean houses in to clean it up, or it could be
The water
something
contamination,
testing, somebody, I say there was a leaking underground storage tank that polluted somebody's well, and there were 2 or 3 wells affected, and we had to do enough research to be able to point them in the direction of how DES could most help them.
Not to nitpick, John, but you used to say that part of the health officer's job is to drive and contact with the water samples. Do we charge the water sample cost elsewhere, or do they do that for us?
No, we pay, I think it's $15 a sample. I think I'm pretty sure I've been taking that out of building, grade buildings.
So, for the actual test.
The cost of the test has been going against the building
Okay.
for which the well has to be tested.
So let's check that when we get to that.
Well, that's a number that encompasses quite a few different things.
Okay.
Welfare, basically,
Wait, so John, he's moving on to the next topic. Any final things on health department? Okay, then we're moving on. Thank you, John.
yeah, welfare, no change. That surprises me. I think it's because there was so much federal money paying rents and the $1,200 and the enhanced unemployment. I'm not convinced that we aren't going to have a spike next year. I think there's going to definitely be a lot of evictions, but how much that hits Northwood, I'm not sure.
So basically,
Yeah, by town meeting, we should have a better handle.
How's the food pantry doing? Do you have anything for them? They need any money or?
We gave them some, we come back and,
I will check because I know the one that I'm associated with, we've really limited who's in there and, in terms of, distribution and everything, all the volunteers, you can't go in.
Well, with the holidays coming up too, I'm not sure they have.
Yeah, why don't you check the status and we'll figure out what we need to do.
I will try to
Or
find out.
have, have the welfare director contact. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else on welfare?
Well, vendor payments, you know, that's all funded also, John?
Yeah.
But about 20% of 2019, so the actual, so we've got some cushion.
Okay.
I expect it, that will eventually catch up with us.
Sometimes it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Ready to move on to conservation?
Yep.
Okay, John?
Conservation did have a couple of changes in here. They increased the contracted services and they decreased forest land management. And there was a reason why they increased the contracted services. I think I'll find Linda's memo because I forgot. Yeah, here it is. The commission selected a new town forester and would like to continue to have the town forester do the task outlined in the forest management plan, including blazing, maintenance cutting of designated town forest, and depending on the recommendation, do trail maintenance and tree culling. So that's what they wanted to increase in the contracted services. And they basically just keeping the forest land conservation line open. They wanted to shift it to reflect this increase in the forest land.
Gotcha. Fairly consistent.
As far as economic development, I left it the same. I don't know if they're even active or what's going on with the economic development.
They're not active, has not been for several years. And I think this one should follow the role of the model on the highway advisory and facility. So we have a few dollars in there for equipment or something. Let's leave $100 in there just in case.
What about what was the thing we approved, the economic?
I know what you mean, the ERZ zones.
Yeah, so there's nobody, and one of the complaints about it in the past was that it wasn't publicized enough.
Right, I think we wait on any reduction of this line until we hear back.
Right,
Economic
wouldn't
recovery.
wouldn't these guys, if they came back into existence, wouldn't they be the ones to be out promoting that?
Right, they might need some printing money for the ERZ to promote what
Yeah.
they're doing, so.
Yeah,
So
and
I'd like to see that promoted.
there's still some discussion about once we're past the emergency of the health crisis of COVID, that the focus will shift over to economic revitalization. So
Right.
again, and I'm the one who's theoretically supposed to be that rep, and we just haven't. There hasn't been a committee to meet, so.
Right. Now it's gonna be renewed.
But yeah, I think if the ERZ come through, then at least having a couple of dollars for pushing that.
Oh, no,
would be a
yeah,
great
or
idea.
something, yeah.
Postage,
Postage. Oh yeah, so postage needs to.
Printing.
the postage,
Yeah, but postage, if we're putting it all somewhere else, we gotta.
Postage needs to.
Yeah, postage would come down 200.
So we'll just leave the 400 in for contracted services and the
Sure.
rest will be one.
Sure.
I guess interest on hand.
That pays $1, right, because you don't know when you're gonna.
This year, the tax bills will go out pretty much on schedule.
Well, I hope so. I emailed with Michelle today because there's some questions, but I think we're making progress. I keep pushing to get the tax rate, so we aren't there yet, but I'm hoping we'll be there.
Gonna be like a town letterhead, it's gonna tend coming from us, right? You're gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna send out a letter, tax rate courtesy of, and I'm gonna put all four in, and every news No, not really.
We're talking about keeping that,
The bulk mailing.
I can't hear you, Hal.
We're talking about doing this, the taxes, sending them out via bulk service, correct?
Right, we're gonna use the bulk service to send out the tax bills.
But it's gonna look like this Northwood, town of Northwood, letterhead and all that stuff.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I thought you were asking me to have your name associated with. the
Oh,
tax
yeah,
bill.
yeah.
But
Wait, that's okay. Wait, back to tape.
You're talking about interacting with the state to get the rates set.
Right, I'm talking about getting the rates.
So he's talking about the woman there, he's talking about the woman there, that's different than the logistics of getting the bills out. We need to first have the state set the rate for us.
Right.
Right, Michelle Clark at the state rather than Michelle Rowe, who's our new deputy clerk. I'm sorry, that wasn't clear.
Well, we only have what, Laura? So,
You got too many. Everybody get a number this year.
okay, so John, I believe that's all of your items.
That are all the items with those changes. So I basically put those in the category, in the column to go forward to the budget committee from the selectmen.
Okay, so as we discussed, are people comfortable voting on, with the changes that we made, all of these as a group, or are there some that you'd like to single out to vote on separately?
I don't have concerns about the ones that we covered tonight.
Everything's gonna have to say, you just add it.
You just move down.
Just give you the opportunity if you want to. Okay. Anything you want to separate out?
No, I got my notes, we don't. I think it's just the highway department,
Highway
Yeah.
We're not gonna vote
So
on.
these are, that's okay, I'm just looking through my paper, trying to figure out what it was, so I'm like, I know I had a highway department question, but. Hold on for a minute. No, I think this is pretty well cut and dry, although, I think it's good that they're starting to look at when combining the postage, getting things down to $1, and also questioning some of these little things that are in there only because they've always been in there, and whether or not they're being used. So I'm pretty comfortable with this. Is bottom line consistent roughly with where we were?
Yeah, actually, probably everything I presented combined is going to be lower because there's a 30-some thousand savings in the assessing and there aren't that many lines that went up.
Gotcha,
So
thank you.
it should be overall down.
Yeah,
I don't have the number right in my head though.
yeah, that's okay.
The question we're facing right now is I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve them all as one group, excluding the highways. So all the ones that John went over,
Right.
As amended.
as you adjusted and going through there, I'm looking for, if everybody's comfortable, I'm looking for a motion to, approve the ones that we just discussed with John as amended by our discussion. So is that clear?
So moved by Matt.
Okay, we have a second by Tim. Now we'll have some discussion. So, any discussion in terms of these items?
No? Thank you, John. We're good.
Hey, you're welcome.
All the questions are answered.
Okay, so in that case, we'll do a roll call vote. Tim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Seth?
Yes,
Pam?
Yes.
And Matt?
Yes.
And Howard, yes. Okay, so, what did we decide to do with the highway? Are we comfortable with the numbers and want to approve those? Or was there further work that we wanted to do on those?
Yeah, you got a question on highway or what?
No, I mean, since Chris is not here, we already asked those questions, and it was just his reliance upon potential warrant articles in terms of the road paving warrant article, because he reduced his road paving down to 80,000. And I just, I'm like, yeah, what if you don't get the warrant article? what are you gonna do?
I think that was like when the commission actually meets.
Oh, so that was,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so that would be a reason I wouldn't wanna
We're
go.
gonna see how things pan out there, we're gonna adjust the warrant, okay.
Right.
And then what?
Have to do the CIP and all that.
Yeah, so that would be a reason I want.
Because if the committee decides that they don't want to recommend
Right.
putting all the road work into a warrant, then we need to.
Right, it is, we can't.
What do you think?
But the board, they have to say like, recommended by the commission, recommended.
Sure,
Yeah, okay, that was.
right, into that.
Okay, so those are gonna be put on hold so we can have the discussion, but
We are
otherwise.
meeting the 28th.
So we'll be hearing about it,
No, the commission, sorry, the highway.
In the 21st, right? And we're next Monday, next Tuesday again for us.
yeah.
I have that social life.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, so, I think that does it for the budget related items.
Yes, that does.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the ongoing business. So, minutes, do I have a motion to, well, first off, is there any edits to the September 29th minutes? Anybody have any edits or changes that they want to make to those minutes from the 29th of September?
Gotcha. No,
Yeah, I thought they were pretty.
it is nice to have the minutes, because I couldn't quite understand it also.
Beth, did you have it, maybe? Okay,
Wait, I made a motion? Oh, look, I made a motion to get a thermal imaging camera.
The safe map.
That saves that house.
okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written? then?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
As written,
As written.
Second.
second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Beth.
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Tim,
Yeah.
and Hal, yes. Okay, now we're moving on to the consent agenda, John, or Paul, who's reading it all?
I don't have it right, just a minute, I can find it. Paul has it.
Paul, you have, move to the center here, Paul.
Pleasure to see you read live. Get it memorized. Big speech.
Yeah. So now I'll remind the public that the vast majority of the consent agenda items are items that Paul sends out in advance, such as the manifest. The board members individually review them in the comfort of their own home. So when we do the consent agenda, most of the stuff has already been reviewed and in many cases already signed off on. This is so the board, lets the public know what we're spending. So Paul, why don't you read off the list?
All right, so I have for, this is one time for accounts payable manifest, there was 3 of them. And they're all rated as is.
Yeah.
We have the original VAT for 15106 for $21,189.28. There was the COVID VAT for 15107 for $12,005.83. And there was also the VAT that had a check that we needed to reissue. That was for statute number 15072 for $935.
Anything else on the consent agenda? That's it? Okay, so at this point, I'll ask, does anybody want to take anything off the consent agenda? Otherwise, we're voting on all 3 of those as a whole. Seeing nobody raising that point, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
We'll move to approve consent agenda as read.
Second.
Second, discussion? Hearing none, Pam?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And Hal is yes. Okay, now we're going to move on to the TA reports / items that John has for action, for board action. John?
Yes, I just want to make the board aware that I authorized $2,943 for an update of the switches, cloud-based management, the wall mounting. This is basically the obsolete switches which are in the closet downstairs behind where Sandy has her desk. It's all part of continually upgrading our software, our computer system and our network. But the switches these are going to be managed switches before we get unmanaged switches. Update on the electric savings project. I did authorize them to proceed. They are working at it. They have not got back to me yet on anything beyond that. The sale of the ambulance, we had an email from the fire chief where a local person has indicated they're interested in bidding on it. The question becomes, do you want to proceed with the trying to sell it as indicated at the last meeting through the broker that would advertise it and take a commission? Or do you want to, again, put it out to local bid, knowing we've got a piece of bid from a local person who wants to buy it?
Jeff, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, remind me, is this the ambulance or is it the rescue old one that was?
Heavy rescue, yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing sitting at
The
the
old,
police station.
old rescue, okay. It's an ambulance, but.
Yeah, whatever that used to be.
Did you have some more questions?
Yeah, on the ambulance, is that, so if the broker would get a percentage, I mean, does it have to go through the town bid if we do this process? Like, somebody brought up the issue of the two town trucks. I have a question on that if we get to that.
Well, let's
See what the
decide
ambulance.
how we want to handle this, and then, so, John, the options again,
The option is to again put it out for local bid or to sign the contract with the broker. He would take 10% and tell the local bidder he'd have to go through the broker.
Anybody want to express an opinion or change the approach?
If
We
we,
can. Wait a minute.
Go ahead now.
so if we put it out to bid locally, can we set
Yes,
a starting bid?
Set a floor.
Set a floor, thank you, that's the word I was looking for. So as long as we're not gonna lose money on the deal, I'd certainly rather see it go to somebody locally if they want it, and skip paying the
You
fees.
said it at the $8,000,
Right,
they're gonna take 10%.
exactly.
well, I'd set the floor at 5,000 and see what we could get above that. You might get more through the broker, you know, you thought you might get up to 10.
I thought we had a local guy.
So like 8, 7, 10.
Yeah, he was gonna give us pretty much 8 or 9 grand, so I'd rather,
Set it at 8?
he would, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But if we said at 8, they're gonna still take 10%. So
No, we're not gonna go.
No, that's good, if we do it
Oh.
on our own.
We're doing it on our own. We don't need to.
So we'll advertise it again, 8K floor, and we'll wait on the broker. In other words, we're not gonna use the broker yet.
No.
Okay, that's a change. Is that a consensus
You're
of the board?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm just looking to see if we need to vote on it or whether we just.
Yeah, sounds like we're in agreement.
Okay. 8K4, local bid.
Okay. In 2015, 5 years to the day, actually, we took a house at 55 Main Street. The owner this summer, the owner, with the town is the owner. The former owner approached me this summer about buying it back. The board has a plan to put together all of these tax deeded properties and work at trying to market and sell them in the spring after the COVID is over. The question becomes, it if it had been in the first 2 years after he lost it, he has a statutory right to be able to repurchase it, and there's a formula you calculate as to how much they have to pay. In fact, I'm calculating, we've already had 2 bought back this year, and we're probably gonna have a 3rd one bought back in the near future, in which we tax treated it. They have to come up with 7, 10, 15,000, whatever the number is, and buy it back. So the question becomes, where he's so far outside of that window, do you want to wait until spring to put the property with the others that you either auction or you advertise and go out to bid on? Or how would you like to proceed as regards to his request to be able to buy it back?
Any thoughts on that?
Did you give your price, buy back what, for the back taxes or for?
I think he wants to buy it back at the statutory formula, which would have to be calculated and would probably be, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000 probably at this point.
He's beyond the statutory.
Right.
Like,
So or we wait till spring and then.
And if you do the auction, it would
Be more than 25.
Right. Oh, definitely.
The thing is, just to be aware, if you sell it for a lot more, everything above that cost goes back to him.
Well, yeah, okay, because it was a family.
Right, it goes back to the family that lost
Right.
it. So, in
So-
essence, if you use the formula, you're not losing any money for the town, because the town's gonna have to give him back everything that exceeds the formula. when
Right,
the
but he
town
never
sells
had
it.
a legal claim like probate or whatever to the estate of that.
Oh, that-
How do we know that he is the?
Oh, this one is the same person. We do have one where they've got to figure out in probate who the real owner is.
Right, right. So this is a different one than?
This is a different one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is one on Main Street. It's a house, 55 Main Street. So the
And it's been
question,
empty for what, 5 years?
yeah, 5 years.
Matthew was the.
Yeah, so I know there was some concern about the sort of administrative cost on our end in terms of man hours and effort that would go into it. But it sounds like it's a fairly straightforward number to find.
It's going to take a few hours of calculation, but frankly, I'll add my time to his bill because I can do that.
Right.
And would it include the 5 years worth of taxes it would have accrued?
Plus interest on all of those.
And then plus all the.
12, 18%. This is why it's complicated, because some of those would be at 18, some would be at 12, and
Yeah.
some would be at, it's varying what the rate of interest is. But at some point, we're gonna have to calculate it, because he gets the difference if we do sell it to somebody
Right.
else.
Right.
Okay, so the question is, go ahead.
I know there was also electricity stuff that we were paying that, like,
All those things.
All those years.
Calculated, all those.
because the fire department responded there, the police department responded there.
We probably can't get police and fire response, but we
No,
should
it's
get
like, well, I know
some-
that there was electricity, because we talked about that in one of our meetings.
yeah, we should get electricity. I wasn't aware we were paying electricity on the building, but you're saying we did it in the
And then we
past.
paid it till at least last year, so,
Yeah.
4 years,
But
but maybe
figuring
still
out-
not.
Figuring out all these costs is gonna be a complex situation, but it has to be done at some point. But you may wanna wait until you get a finance director and have one work
Yeah,
out or
that's true
something.
too.
Yeah, so in my mind, what it boils down to is, do you want John to take his time during the middle of the budget season? When we have basically a litany of other items that aren't addressed either.
And the house was sat for 5 years, so,
Pardon?
the house was sat for 5 years,
Yeah.
okay, Mama.
On the other hand, I wouldn't feel bad about him doing the calculation if, I'm looking at you, John, if you agree that you're gonna do it on hours in addition to what you would normally work, because I personally am not willing to see the town take a hit, take their attention off the budget or anything like that. We promised the budget committee we were gonna do our best on this.
So it was 4 hours of this work, that I don't have gone to the price of,
I don't think it's 4 hours though.
oh, no. I'm just-
Oh, I think it's a lot more than that.
Okay, that was just one more thing.
That's why I am reluctant to do anything.
Well, you already sent an email saying we're not gonna deal with it, so.
No, I said I'd ask the board, and I'm expressing my opinion.
I think you have to look at what's best for the town as a whole, we have so much to do.
Right, and that's why I say, if John's willing to put my position is this. If John is willing to put in additional
Not shaking
hours,
his head.
No,
okay. If John isn't willing to put the hours in beyond what he's working now, then my position is I'm opposed to it. I'm not opposed to telling him when we can do the calculation in deference to his family history, his desire to get the house back. We will work with him, especially given what John said, we don't net beyond, so we work with him to get the house back to him as opposed to just selling it and returning a little extra tax.
In the spring, when we do all the houses, that we can talk about stuff.
Yeah, I think that
Would
would
you,
be,
first,
no.
you would just,
No, we would, I'm sorry, Ken, I misspoke, yes, we would, because that's what I'm saying, is
okay,
we will do everything we can within our reason to let him get the house back, as opposed to just.
Take 5 years, we'll do it for 3
We
months.
don't have the time right now, so, and there are other people that ask the same question, there are other people that,
And we
So-
need to be fair.
we send it in the spring to everyone else.
you're going to have to do this kind of calculation on every piece of property you put up. Now, some you're gonna be able to look at and say, "Oop, we've already had more costs and taxes than it's gonna bring in. But some of them, like this one, there's gonna be a balance, and so you have to do the
and
calculation.
like you said, financial.
Well, and then once you get into the sort of gist of it, you start learning some of the idiosyncrasies and what to watch for and what not to watch for. So then you're a little bit more sure that you're doing them all consistently. But I think the big difference in terms of what I originally thought versus what we're talking about now is that we see a payout to let him, essentially, as Pam said, get first shot at it. And I think that's.
We can start saving money and getting his finances.
So when we go into it,
Yeah, but. So that's.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I want to make sure that they get the opportunity to repurchase the family. Right?
Okay, well, it sounds like.
But it doesn't need to be today.
Sounds like we have a path forward on that, and we're in consensus. Okay, very good. Okay, I was returning that one, because, Tim, if it came across you, if I just slammed the door shut, that was not the right. But I'll send him a note tomorrow.
No, we get to have Jimmy back in the house. I don't
Yeah,
want to
he's
be-
right, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, he clearly wants.
Okay, neighborhood.
Okay, next item is the dam at Lucas Pond. In 2018, the town received a letter on work that needed to be done. I talked to the chair of the Conservation Commission, who also works at the Dam Bureau. We are probably going to get another letter soon for 2020 on what needs to be done. So I'm just putting you on caution. It's gonna come, it's gonna be some work that needs to be done. Usually it's cutting trees, stopping seeping. It's an earthen dam. It is a high hazard because of the amount of water behind it, and that, as far as I can tell, it doesn't have a concrete spine or anything in it. There's work that needs to be done there, but the recommendation she had was wait until we send the next letter, and then you'll know just exactly what you need rather than working off a 2-year-old letter.
That comes out of my pocket, their pocket, a little both.
Coming out of our pocket.
So we got a letter in 2018, we're making another letter
Right,
soon.
so,
What happens now, we get the next letter, we have it,
Yeah,
we sent the letter 3 years ago, now we only have,
the town will have to make those improvements.
right, but we have like less time. Like
Yeah.
now we've known for 2.5 years.
Right.
Are they now gonna say you have to have it done within?
Probably have to be done by next summer.
so does that have to be budgeted, or is that something?
Until we see the letter, I do not know.
So,
Based on the 2018, I think the biggest expense would be if you had to do engineering.
next summer, you mean summer of 2021 or 2022?
Yes, 21.
So we
2021,
have money in the budget for this.
Where are we going with this?
Potentially. I used to have a dam on Wineborough, and a lot of this is just trimming down the trees and brush so that a tree doesn't topple over and therefore breach the
This
dam.
sounds
and all that.
more than that.
Yeah, generally not.
Narration of a letter like that, again.
Right, so how do we,
Plenty of letters like that.
so how do we budget them?
I think you consider it part of our tree budget.
We don't have a portion of the budget.
I'll think that through and come with the recommendation.
Can we actually check with the dam, what is the office called? Dam
Bureau.
Dan Bureau.
Dam Bureau, because I actually had someone from the state refer to the Harvey Lake Dam at some point as a train wreck. So if we have multiple dams that are gonna require some work, then
So that could
maybe we can start looking at a warrant article.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't wanna be left holding.
Do we need a
Big
dam
guy.
mark?
Yes.
no, we don't.
Big
We
deal.
probably ought to be putting money aside for maintenance of dams.
So maybe establishing a fund and putting some money into it this year.
That would be actually really good, if
Let's try to get some ideas in terms of costs and at least where it's going.
Yeah.
Okay, John, yeah.
If there's any surplus.
Okay, and the last item I have is, I mentioned it earlier, does the board authorize me to sign with Rochester for $2,154 for the hazardous household waste collection?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How's the board feel about this?
We all just go home.
Yes.
We talked about this.
So I'll move to authorize Mr. Scruton to enter into the contract for, what was the number again?
$2,154.
$2,154 for hazardous waste.
Thank you, Matt. Do I have a second? Tim, discussion?
Obviously not.
So at least you know what
No,
I'm
Mr. Chairman, please.
Okay, now.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
I'm kind of almost trying to say yes to.
I just want, for the record, I've actually heard from multiple citizens asking for more household hazardous waste days. So I think this is important.
Residents,
We did.
Rather take it in and find it on the side of the road.
John, that was your last item.
That was my last item. I do have one non-public.
Okay, what about old business and news grant?
I need to have the board formally vote to accept the language that's found in the grant document, which says, here it is. It's on page 33, last page of the packet. Resolve that the chairman of the library trustees is duly authorized to enter into contract on behalf of the town of Northwood with the state of New Hampshire, aided by and through the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and is further authorized to execute any documents on behalf of this municipality which may be in her judgment desirable or necessary to effect the purpose of this resolution. I need a motion and a vote so that the minutes can go with this certification to allow Gail to sign those, that grant.
You refer to chairperson of library trustees.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So I make a motion that the chair,
yeah, we ought to put a name to it, Gail.
Yes, sir.
Gail, last name,
Toby?
Toby,
T.
T-O-B,
Yeah.
So I make a motion that, we authorize chairperson of the library trustees, Gail Toby, to sign the Moose Grant paperwork on behalf of the town of Northwood.
We need this exact language.
Yeah, but the rest of the language is part of your motion, correct?
Okay, so, resolve that chairperson of library trustees, Gail Toby, is duly authorized to enter into contracts or agreement on behalf of the town of Northwood with the state of New Hampshire, acting by and through the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and is further authorized to execute any documents on behalf of this municipality which may be in his or her judgment desirable, should we just be per here or you circle or desirable or necessary to the effect the purpose of this resolution.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Tim?
Yeah.
Beth?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Howard, yes. Okay, hold on. Oh. Okay, so then, under new business, there was some discussion about, a bench proposed for, basically right out here. And I'm looking for input from the board as to, whether we want to approve putting that bench up tonight, or whether the board would like to have consultation with various other committees before we do that. For example, historical society, they have other plans for the area, or the facilities, thinking about putting something there. Or do you think we know enough tonight to just say, put the bench where you think it goes best? I don't know if we need to make a big deal out of it.
You know anything about
No, because who's proposing the bill?
this?
Oh, yeah, throw it in there.
Was it?
No, Greg Bain from the Beanhole Bash, going by my house the other day, and, Dave Tucson, the gentleman Tucson, the guy in the motorcycle, he's a big factor in Beanhole Bash. Beanhole Bash committee is paying for this outright, all their money, with no town fund, coming out of us. They want to get a granite bench, a little plaque on it, with Dave's name on it, and the years he, served in the Beanhole Bash and stuff. And, put it up like behind your shoe shop. So I guess they were asking us, because it's, our grounds for permission, but it's totally funded by the Beanhole Bash Committee, and they're just looking for approval. To be a nice, granite bench with a little plaque, maybe, wooden bench or something.
We want to have it here.
Yeah, Greg asked me to put it up here, that's where the original Beanhole Bash pit is, and the other than that, it's on Co-Brown and Church land, it used to be on our land, So he said somewhere, I kind of suggested maybe behind the shoe shop, or somewhere in front of the old Beanhole, pit, but
This is a suggestion, how they talk about moving the Beanhole back up to the rec field.
I guess we could,
So, it'd be nice if it was gonna be, someone was actually gonna be having a Beanhole back, so,
but yeah, and then other people.
just make it.
We also talked about, we do have the Memorial Day parades here and speeches here, so, I guess,
If we just get down.
yeah, but we moved them, but, so I don't know if maybe we should go forward and talk to the student committee and see if the Beanhole Bash is acceptable to maybe putting it up at the rec field someday with Beanhole Bash might go someday, so,
Near the pavilion or something.
yeah, so something, I guess if, I can get hold of, Greg and, your wife in the committee, so we can, discuss stuff like that, but just the whole, basically in general, kind of go to Memorial Day.
That's a great idea.
It's coming all out of the Beanhole Bash Fund, so they're looking for a 2x2 piece of land to set it on.
Would it be permanently, would it be
I think we're just,
dug in or anything? Or
I don't know, like Greg said, we're just, dig down like a gravel pad and the ground's heavy enough, and they're gonna, it's not gonna be like cemented in, so.
That's my other thought, is even if we wanted to just get it up here for now, down the road. Then-
We could wait,
No, the Beanhole back wasn't here anymore.
No, I know.
but that's where the original, he started, so it's.
And the board should turn into often right here, so. Now that you say it, Tim, I said,
We kind of protected behind the little shoe shop, we kind of, so.
this, it's not hard to move, that was what I was thinking about, it's not hard to move, and I can be comfortable now just saying yes.
I would.
I make a motion. I make a motion to, allow the town, or the Beanhole Bash Committee to place a bench in Dave's name at the old shoe shop on town grounds.
Still put like gravel around so it looks like.
Oh, no, yeah, we'll dig it out,
It's gonna be ugly little-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a second? Discussion, any discussion?
We just might want to double check with historical society or whomever to make sure that if we need to be outside a certain boundary of the
Okay,
historical building.
so the motion is subject to.
Yeah, other than that, whatever.
So
Yeah.
it can be here,
Follow the
But either way, yeah,
We'll find a location around that,
we'll figure it out, yeah.
in conjunction with the historical society.
Okay, the motion was amended to include that checking, Matthew.
I'll amend the second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, Beth?
yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Howard, yes. Okay, I thought it was good discussion.
I'll let Greg go.
Yeah, I think that was good that you brought that up. And thanks for clarifying.
Very nice.
Okay,
I do think at the rec, it would get a lot more use if that's where the bean hole.
Yeah, I'll give, you know,
yeah, so then.
I guess we would, yeah.
They might consider that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then just for my clarity, if, we said, okay, fine, over here, if they, the bingo back, for example, says, well, if that's the case, maybe we'll just wait and put it at the rec field, then I would expect the rec commission would.
Yeah, we can okay that.
If we put a pavilion up there, that would be intent, that would, that would be all back.
And it may not be
Yeah, but I'm just
involved.
saying, you set the precedent that the rec commission would then, authorize that type of stuff. We wouldn't need to get involved in it, and just shift to.
I can pretty safely say it would be an easy ask.
Appreciate it.
Okay, good. Okay, John, it's not on the agenda, but I'm just gonna open it up to students here. Do you want to have any comments for citizens forum at the end of the meeting? Go ahead. And again, please, yeah.
I have to turn it on.
Hopefully the battery's still on.
Never said that.
Good.
Okay, just reiterating my original comments earlier about asking the committee, the board to really be cognizant of people's ability to pay taxes this coming year, between being out of work and all that. And when we were talking about it, we were discussing the highway department. Currently, the truck payment, you're gonna be making number 3 of 7 this coming year in 2021, and that's $26,106. The loader payment is number 4 or 5, and that's $20,300. So you already have to have warrant articles for that amount. You're gonna be having warrant articles for the fire truck and the ambulance. Now, granted, those are supposed to come out of the ambulance fund, assuming that we have sufficient revenue to cover those payments. I would just really urge you to ask questions. How many trucks do we have now, and why can't we use the truck that we put 30+ grand into last year that Beth had mentioned? My understanding is it needs new tires. There's $12,000 in the repair line in the highway department that has hardly been touched. I would urge you to look at all of these options before you put a warrant article on for 2 new highway vehicles. Even one is going to be a push. I urge you to reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. I always appreciate your comments and your succinctness, so thank you. At this point, I'm looking for a motion to go into non-public. I don't have my cheat sheets, so John, is it A, B, or C?
I have K, 91A32A.
Let me just double check.
That is personnel.
Okay, that's good. Okay, do I have a motion to go into non-public under blah, 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 A?
Move to go into non-public session on RSA 91A 32A.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, is that Pam or Beth?
Second me, Pam. And we do a roll call vote. Pam, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, great. Matt?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Beth?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just from a logistical standpoint,